that however we want, but you guys can go to the description. You can find both their Twitters. I mean, Mr. Ramsey, or yeah, Mr. Ramsey's obviously written several books on this stuff, but I mean, I had Dave. I think I had you on 2 weeks ago, and Will, I had you on last week, and I kind of wanted to get you guys together because a lot of people don't want to touch this, and then those that are gung ho to touch it are, whether intentionally or unintentionally, the result is the same. They often discredit it by, fucking
Being
blowing it up.
nutcases, right?
But there's a very real, as Dave, you and I have talked about. I mean, the mind control aspect of it, the fact that it's too insane that no one would believe you, the fact that it binds people together. And Will, you've talked about this for, just in general, like it's a very real thing. The cult is a very real thing, but because you're doing like daily posts on it, Will, I'm gonna let you kick this off in any way you want.
I've been studying a lot of the stuff. I kind of am, I studied Crowley. My first book was about Crowley. I published it in 2010. So that's an aspect of his kind of occultism, is this kind of ritualization and abuse. And all his followers kind of practice that. And then I wrote a book about the West Memphis Three, which was an occult ritual murder. So kind of been around and researching, and I've had guests on, Tim Tate, people who've studied this. He also was involved, kind of a documentary about the Franklin scandal, what's known as the Franklin scandal. So I've had a lot of guests on, so I've kind of become knowledgeable about these events, even though they're unpleasant, but they're also denied, the ritual aspect, McMartin, things like that. And I've done shows on like the false memory syndrome Foundation, who are in the Epstein files of all things, of Loftus, who's also on the Origins Committee, this person who is one of these people on like a board member of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. So that's kind of my background for people who don't know it. I've been doing this for over a decade.
The False Memory Foundation. Yeah, that's fucked for that to be involved with that. And it's so then it is it a Venn diagram? Is it a smorgasbord?
Yes.
It's not all or the other. It's ritual abuse for the sake of the abuse for the those that they truly believe in the occult. It's for the mind control aspect. It's very effective with blackmail. There's no, I mean, age of consent is different in different countries, but I think everyone's pretty universally against I don't know, cannibalizing babies. Um,
You hope so. You hope so.
you would you would hope, Dave.
Do you remember the chick who went a little nuts in some? She was in some public forum and she started yelling, "They're eating the
Yeah,
babies.
that
They're eating." What
model.
was that?
Yeah.
What was that? What was that event that she started yelling at? Because
I think it was like
the
10 years
claim was she
ago.
was being a wacky. She was doing it to disrupt it. But you got to replay those tapes on things like that and say, what was she really doing? What's her story? I dug into it because I was trying to understand why world leaders were making decisions that made no sense. And I eventually gravitated to the model that there must be some gravitational pull that's so profoundly sort of out of sight but big that why would you just open the southern border? And I go, well, they'd say it's to get votes. I go, I just read Smartmatic, right? You don't need to open the southern border. There's just things that weren't making sense to me. And I said, the trafficking story, which then immediately leads you to ritual abuse, and cannibalism, and stuff like that. You can't avoid it. Once you dig into it, you find pizza sauce on everything. So
Yeah, and I think, and actually, I think I heard what you were just saying, Dave. I first heard about on an interview with Nick Bryan on Tim Dillon back in like 2016. And he said the same thing. He was like, it's not that they voted for something that you kind of expect, like they whatever raise their income or they get a better healthcare plan. He's like things that are so across the board, diametrically opposed, not in the same ballpark of the interests of not just voters, but of humans. And they
right,
do it time and time, and they do it in lockstep.
right.
There has to be a sort of, I don't know, a dark matter aspect that is pulling it all together. But well, I think you could talk on that a little.
Yeah. Say that again. I'm trying to find this
Yeah,
clip of Tucker Carlson
no,
and
no.
Roseanne Barr where she's saying to Tucker, they're eating the babies, but he doesn't believe it. he
Yeah, I
doesn't.
saw
He's.
that clip. I saw that clip the other
I'm
day.
trying to bring that
Yeah.
up, but
Yeah, no,
it's
sure. Keep looking for it. Yeah, no,
okay.
that's kind of the thing is it's a self-protecting secret because
Right.
it's so in the same way that for a lot of years UFOs were sort of a self-protecting secret. What did you see? It was a disc. It flew from horizon to horizon in half a second. That's Mach 300. That can't be done. Yet it does. And it's sort of its
Right.
self-protecting thing, but there's no blackmail aspect to a UFO. It's you just kind of get
Right.
made fun of. This is very real, and it's not new. The shit
No.
isn't new, and but do you think that so there you have two prominent names, Tucker Carlson and Roseanne Barr, and she's saying they're eating the babies, and that kind of fits the point in general.
Yes, and he doesn't believe it. He laughs. He has this kind of laugh response, which I think is natural to kind of
Sure.
laugh at when it's very stressful like that. So people who've criticized me like for laughing, it's
When
like
was that filmed? Do you know when that was filmed?
I don't know, but I just sent the link
You
to
just dropped it in
Tommy,
the
so you can
chat.
bring it up. I just put it in the chat.
Well, it depends.
I think
It's important because when I talked to Tucker about it, he seemed to accept the whole story completely.
okay.
So that might have been an old clip
I'll find it. I'll look.
Um,
where he was not yet paying attention. He did the same thing with 9/11, right? Where he was arrogantly dismissive, and now he's diehard 9/11 sort of believer. So he has had his come to Jesus moment on a number of topics over the last handful of years. So
So I
they're
think
all
it was
kind of
from
coming
a
around. All these like people who used to be on TV or some of these places, Candace and stuff like that. She mentions Crowley all the time. They're talking about it on Rogan in the last couple of days. They're talking. Rogan's asking. I forgot the Avery. I think was the guest. He's like, "Do you think they're doing this?" He's like, "Yeah, I think this is Moloch worship." So just like Tommy said, it's been around
and
thousands of
Mike
years.
Ben said the same thing where Rogan started to hammer the Pizzagate story a little bit, saying the crazy Pizzagate stories, and Ben said, "Well, the Epstein files kind of give Pizzagate some tailwind here,
they give
you
him
know."
the
She does.
they have one of the guys I have on Clay Martin Special Forces. He and I have done so many episodes over the years, like making fun of him. We've always said, if this comes out to be real, we have to, get shirts to say I was wrong. And I texted him like last week. I was like,
Get the
we gotta
printer,
eat
get the
crow.
printer.
He was like, I know, motherfucker. Like we gotta,
It's the
but
same code words. Weird sauces like
Well,
walnut
the other
sauce
thing that
and
I'm
shrimp.
struggling with, the new ones that I had not seen before, maybe one is grape soda, which I'd not heard, and the other is beef jerky. And I'd read a bunch of some guy put together a montage talking about them, and I had it on mute, so I wasn't listening to him. I was just stopping the video every time a new email came up, and I read the email. And the beef jerky story, uh, it didn't have the same flavor that Pizzagate did, where you go, that just doesn't make sense. But it certainly showed people who seem to have an unbelievable affinity for beef jerky in a cut of society where if they were talking about French cuisine, you'd understand, right? But somehow
Right.
beef jerky doesn't seem to be their go-to food group, right? And the claim is that beef jerky's child flesh, and I haven't yet seen a smoking gun email that tells me that. The problem is it's just everywhere, and they're talking about refrigerating it, 6 to 8 ounces of it. There's an obsession with beef jerky in the Epstein files. And then the other one is grape soda, and I actually used AI for that one, and it made sense to me, although it's not necessarily true, where they said grape is short for G-rape, which is short for gang rape. And I go, oh, that's actually almost logical, right? So
There's more. Wait till you find out what shrimp means.
what does shrimp mean?
Little kids. It's a little.
Well,
They're like trafficking in kids and shrimp sauce and things like that. Like it's super dark. And that jerky, like they had to have pounds of jerky to transport with Jeff. So it's very important for him to have his jerky wherever he is. And when they're making the jerky, they had a lot. I mean, these are people who have private chefs. Adam Perry Lang is one of the chefs that we know was Epstein's personal chef who traveled around with him, also on Rogan. Strangely, Rogan never asked him any questions about Epstein. Rogan is actually a nexus of the Epstein network in a very odd way. But this like shrimp sauce is crazy, and that there are babies being disappearing out of these people, like they're being incubated. It's not believable, but it's true. So shrimp, gang rape, the walnut sauce overlaps with the Pizzagate, what it's called
Right.
Pizzagate, or the Alephantis network is probably a
Yeah.
better descriptive term. But pizza's also in this thing, so they have tons of code words. And this is just beginning. Like these dropped only 2 weeks ago, so people are starting to figure it out. There's a picture. I can pull it up. I think it's in the PDF I sent to you, Tommy. But there's a picture of a young babe. Like these guys had deviant art, much
Yeah.
like,
Well, oh, the DeviantArt's unbelievable.
yeah, the slaughter of the innocents. That was a very important element. But also this guy Miguel Serrano, who did the artwork for Metallica. There's like 250 emails between him and Epstein. So Epstein had very particular ghoulish tastes, and he was, and this is like the kind of art that's made with body fluids, very Crowleyistic, I would say. But
Or Abramovic is stick.
right, well, I'm glad you brought her up because they covered up the fact that Abramovich was having meetings with most of these tech guys. This is in the files. She's having meetings with like Elon Musk, Thiel, Brockman, who's the head of the Edge Foundation, if you know what that is. That was kind of like the influence op, um, going back 20 years. But she was having meetings and he was suggesting, you guys got to meet this great artist, Brockman saying, Marina Abramovich. This is pre-Pizzagate, right? So then we find out Pizzagate or whatever, the Alephantis network comes out and it's revealed she's into spirit cooking, right? Literal blood rituals.
And that wasn't even hidden.
Right.
That was
People just didn't know.
That
And
was in
let me
also,
ask you
Hillary's
this,
emails. That was
William.
in our State Department emails.
Yeah,
right,
this
it's
here.
in the Podesta emails. They take an interest in the Podesta emails in the Epstein emails, by the way. They know about the Podesta files. They're following everything. They're following all of the writers. They're following Julie K. Brown. They're following Derek Bros. They're following people who are investigating them, and we found those in the files. So, like, the investigators are being investigated by these two demons, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. But yeah, there's more code words. That's my point. But it overlaps with Alephantis, his infamous Instagram pictures, and
Yeah,
all this
the
other stuff. But
girls, the
so
girls taped it
Abramovich
up.
shows up in this. It's fusing together. By the way, what a lot of people missed is in the kind of Pizzagate stuff is that Kamala Harris's sister is involved at the Comet Pizza. So she knows all the stuff, is in addition to Hillary Clinton. But it's
I didn't know
overlooked and
that.
it's not seen. And I
Well,
mean,
then there's the
these
theory
emails
that
are freaking incredible. They're off the charts.
then there's the theory that Kamala herself is MK Ultra product, and so and I think it's not a bad. I think it's not bad evidence. It was brought up by a person who's been studying MK Ultra for years and a credible person. So, um,
Her background's fake. She somehow got into, like, both of her parents are professors. She somehow got into Hastings Law School on a poverty exception, like she not on a racial exception, is that she was poor, which is fake, and then she couldn't pass the bar. And I think just everything about her is totally ersatz. It's totally fake. They might try to run her again, but she's a corrupt.
I see that evidence. I
Yeah,
can't believe the Democrats would do that.
she's a total loser.
Um,
She's like a
her,
two-digit IQ loser, man.
I
So
know, and her mother was not only a professor but at McGill.
that's a huge tell.
It's a huge tell.
Wasn't that the textbook company owned by the?
McGill,
No,
no, McGill's. There was an asylum there where the MK Ultra shit was going on in spades. Got him. Ewan Cameron
I
was
thought you,
was the Sidney Gottlieb equivalent at the
yeah,
McGill site.
I thought you were
more
talking about the book
malevolent than
company.
Gottlieb, I think. Cameron was really something else. He would electroshock people so much that his assistants thought they were dead. He thought he was electroshocking people to death. Like they would have to snap them back out to get their bodies to start breathing again.
Jeez.
Interesting.
But it was called Ravenscrag. I mean, it's like almost
Right,
like from a
right.
demonic um horror film that they took this course stable and transformed it into an MK Ultra torture center where they were giving people curare, and it's actually so demonic that the average person could not comprehend what was going on, because they were giving people treatments and then studying them when they went back home. So people are thinking like, oh, they're just doing experiments on these people in the medical facility. They were, but then they would go back into their normal lives and they'd be traced and followed and literally studied in the natural environment, like a lab rat, but like in their family life. And then they would get more treatments and see how they would change. There's a
Did
new
you
case that came out. We could do a whole nother show on that. There's a new case with 200-page documents about that Cameron, that traces the entire history. Cameron was close friends with Dulles, by the way. A lot of people don't know that, but
with who? With who? What's the
Alan
name?
Dulles.
Dulles. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, there's a sweet guy.
I mean, we can just riff on that, but yeah, you're right. So Kamala Harris's mom is associated with that. So is a lot of people. Some people went through that. By the way, the guy who sang "Hallelujah" was a test subject. Connection to McGill is Jordan Peterson as well, which makes
But
you
he's much later. I went down that path, and then I realized that that temporally Peterson didn't overlap with Cameron.
yeah, I don't think he
Peterson's
did.
PhD was later, I think, wasn't it?
But he was also I think he was at Harvard in the same unit that Leary was in. So
Well, it's
I,
also possible that someone replaced Cameron after Cameron was gone, right? So you don't know that, but I have noticed that Peterson has idiosyncratic personality traits that don't make sense, because the one side of him says get your shit together, and the other side he doesn't have his shit together at all. And that's always been a bit baffling. And I started, and when I finally got his degree at McGill, I go, okay, you know,
there's something
so
interesting
be
about
it.
him as well, like his whole trajectory to McGill to Harvard.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'd
Um,
like to think he's a good guy, but
so
and
would
he might
I.
be a good guy, but I'd like to think he's not corrupted. And I think there is reason to believe there's a ton of people out there who don't even know they had been brainwashed and who are just going through life at varying degrees of struggle, varying degrees of normalcy, not realizing that they had had their brains fried.
Yeah, you can go watch Sirhan talk, or Hinckley. I had Hinckley on my show. He had no clue about certain
You
stuff.
had Hinckley on your
You
show.
got John Hinckley on your show?
Yep, yep. He had no clue that his parents had sued his own psychiatrist for his treatment, because his psychiatrist, before he tried to kill Reagan, psychiatrist was telling his parents that he was just fine. But he was traveling around trying to kill these main political figures. Ted Kennedy. This is his own admission in the book. Ted Kennedy, Carter. Then I mean, he ruined people's lives. Well, there's evidence. I'm not a trained clinician. I do not have a psychiatry degree, but he had certain things that he didn't know about when I was talking to him. And I read his book, so I know exactly what he thought. But
Well, the other thing is, I was on a Zoom call with Bobby Kennedy, and he talked about how he ignored the data of Sirhan killing his father until many years later. And then someone said, Bobby, you really got to look at this. And he said, when I looked at the data, he said there is no mechanism by which they could have convicted him in a court of law. None
no, it is
whatsoever.
interesting how these people convince themselves to say they're guilty, like Chapman, right?
Well,
Like,
I think, but also I think that's the general problem with the legal system, where someone says, okay, if we convict you in the court, we're gonna off you. If you want to plead it out, we'll give you a sentence that you get to live. And the guy didn't speak English worth a shit. I mean, he was really a patsy in a foreign land.
who? Sirhan?
Yeah.
The evidence for that guy being manipulated and controlled and put around is encyclopedic.
Well, the other evidence is that he didn't fire the shot that killed Kennedy.
Of
So
course not. No, the
yeah,
shot that
yeah,
killed Robert Kennedy came from about an inch behind his head. That's what Noguchi
that's right.
said. Who
There
was a
was
very
a
straight shooter, by the way. Noguchi's a very
right.
kind of like he was not part of like the
And, and,
network, so to
and
speak.
Sirhan was 15 feet in front of him, not behind him. And
Yeah.
it's just complicated. So,
I've done a lot of
yeah,
shows. Tim Tate, like I mentioned his name, he did a book on that and a lot of that stuff. I mean, I've looked at it and just the whole story of Sirhan's fake, but he's being moved around, much like all these guys, Hinckley, Chapman, Sirhan, James Earl Ray, Oswald, which we can get into. It's
Oswald,
kind of off the topic
Oswald,
here, but Oswald, they're all being shifted and moved around and put into place for odd reasons.
Jack Ruby.
Ruby,
Ruby
yeah.
was MK Ultra.
Well, he may not have been, but he certainly ran into the guy who
Well,
was part of the false
Gottlieb,
memory. I mentioned the
Gottlieb
False
got a
Memory
hold of him,
Syndrome
and then
Foundation.
so as the
Jolly
story
West is
got
on the board with Loftus, who's in the Epstein
Jolly
files.
West, right? So, but Jolly West also supposedly Ruby seemed normal. Jolly West goes to his cell, comes back and testifies to the judge that he's not mentally qualified to be tried. He can't defend himself. And the judge said, screw that, and sent some more shrinks in. And they all came back and said he's nuts. And so it appears as though the visit of Jolly West to Jack Ruby's cell caused a major break point in his mental well-being.
The word is schismogenesis, but yeah. And then
Right.
they actually promoted it all through the newspapers. So not
Right.
only did Jolly West go in, but then Jolly West is like, Dr. Jolly West, he says he's crazy, and it's on every major newspaper all around the country. So it was very clever.
Who, by the way, also connects up with Charles Manson and Laurel Canyon, the whole wackadoodle bunch of. Well,
It's
here's the
much
funny.
worse. It's
Here's the
much
funny
worse than
story I
that,
like to
bro.
tell. In from
Much worse.
77 to 79, my wife lived in Laurel Canyon.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Dave, you're an asset. You're an
well,
asset.
as when I talk about this shit, I'm thinking, I'm wondering if I married someone who's really screwed up, and I'm thinking that's exactly what my wife's been wondering.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. You're
Right. Who's sleeping in bed with like maybe maybe
she,
we've all been
Well,
MK
she
Ultra.
was
Who
just
knows?
a hippie, best I could tell. She was on a commune in California with Joan Baez and characters like that. But the Laurel
Who
Canyon stories,
interestingly, she wrote a song about satanic ritual abuse. Do you know that?
I didn't know
So
that.
that's the theme of our show. Maybe I can find that too.
Oh, I'll tell you something I heard. I think it was it might have been in the Weird Scenes of Laurel Canyon. Rose McGowan, right? The first Me Too'er on Harvey Weinstein. She was in a cult. And I'm going,
Children of
wait a
God.
minute.
She was a part of the Children of God.
Right. And I'm going, holy shit. Is there anything here that's not part of some web of bizarreness?
No.
weren't the, wasn't Joaquin Phoenix and River weren't they in Children of God?
Yes.
Well, River Phoenix died, so there's
Yeah.
that.
No, but when they were kids, they were in Children of God. Yeah.
So when what's his face got killed, he and his wife, come on, Carl Reiner. And then they were talking about his great movies, and one of them was Stand By Me. And then I remembered River Phoenix died. And so I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so so someone did a roast on Carl Reiner, and they did a roast, and these roasts are both raw and truthful, right? Things come
Yeah.
out that they don't hold back, and the number of jokes about him and kids was just there was just too many, and him and his son and things like that were just too many, and but he did Stand By Me, and then I remember River Phoenix died. And then I remembered something else about the movie seemed in right. And so I looked up Kiefer Sutherland, who was in it, and said, okay, is there some reason? Because he's in all these deep state movies, right? He's in all these movies where, like 24 and things like that. And I couldn't find anything on River Phoenix, but I got to Donald Sutherland, and all of a sudden he's got fingerprints all over him. And I'm going, oh, Jesus. So I'm not a full-time pursuer of this shit. I'm an amateur.
But even in terms of the idea of just the secret hides itself. I mean, what
Right.
we've been talking for what, 20 minutes? Anyone that listens to this is like, lock these three people up. But everything
They've
we're saying
left.
is
They've left.
yeah, but everything we're saying is publicly provable. but just on its value, even in the wake of the Epstein files, people listening to this still right now, I already know people are going to be like, y'all are you're fucking out of it. But
Well, the problem is though the average person is still getting the information about the Epstein file from CNN.
yeah.
And so
But
they're not learning
If
anything.
they're even talking about it on CNN.
so
Right.
this is
Right.
what I want to ask you guys, and it's normally it's when I say I want to look at 100,000 foot view, it's like let's not get lost in the details. This is something where it's very hard not to get lost in the details because we're talking about satanic cannibalism and pedophilia. But
Which, by the
why
way, MTG mentioned the other day.
she did?
MTG mentioned satanic cannibals.
So why are we seeing it now?
Now, I don't
And
know.
because people are saying, well, they were pressured by their constituents, but the entire premise of this blackmail is that the constituents don't matter, that you'll do anything because there's this, as Dave said, this dark gravitational attractor. So that logic can't pan out to, well, they were just pressured by their constituents to release. No, 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 no. Because of this blackmail is why we go do things like NAFTA, why we go bulldoze nations, because they have something that is much more powerful than their constituents. So what could possibly be as powerful, equal or more powerful to make them release it? Did somebody else get there? Because the other thing is, once blackmail exists, it doesn't matter who has it. Whoever, whatever you want done, you now have the leverage point. So whether you are trying to blackmail Congress into, appropriating war funds for some another endless war, or whether you're, some dude in the US government who has kids and you're like, fuck these people, I'm gonna make them release it. That's what I want to pick y'all's brains about is why are we seeing it now? Because the explanation that people voted for it by virtue of the fact of the thing we're talking about doesn't matter. Why are we seeing it? Who's pushing the scales? And some people are saying it's because Trump didn't attack Iran. Well, first of all, Trump's already shown last year he's willing to attack Iran. Second of all, this is the holy grail of blackmail, and they're using it because he didn't hit Iran. It doesn't pan out to me. This is your ace in the hole. You're not going to use this because he's, getting cold feet about sending a carrier strike group to Iran. So why are we seeing somebody put their thumb on the scale? And I don't know if it's a good actor or a bad actor. Because at face value, I would say it's a good actor because it is now in the public consciousness. It can't be laughed at anymore.
But you look at what Thomas Massey has actually gotten.
Sure.
Like he went into the file supposedly unredacted. He came out with a list of names. But you give the three of us 2 hours with those files unredacted, we would have come out with much more.
Yeah.
And the reason is because we would have gone right for those emails saying thank you for the 9-year-old, things like that. We would have gone right after those grape soda things. We would have gone right after. And he came out with 9 names. We had hundreds of names already. So 6 more names with no connection, right?
Sure.
No saying this guy said this. And there were 4 of them in there for 2 hours. It was a gold mine. And so the question then becomes is Massey playing limited? Is it
Is
limited
he a limited
hangout
hang?
to
Yeah.
hang?
Is it a
Yeah.
limited hangout?
So
But
so why did Rumsfeld say that the Pentagon was missing $2.77 trillion on
yeah.
September 10th,
Yeah.
2001?
Yeah.
Why would he admit it? And the answer is to get it out because it's going to find its way out. And it was the day before 9/11, so no one would give a damn. And in fact, who's going to cut the Pentagon budget after that, right? Now, what's happening right now that didn't make sense? That's the question. And I
Correct.
have an answer, I think.
Go for it.
It's just a long shot theory, but no one else has mentioned it that I know of. And that is everyone said Trump was going to nominate some wuss to run the Federal Reserve and to drop rates and to pump money into the system and pump the stock market and et cetera, et cetera. You look at past Federal Reserve governors, chairs, they always seem to be the right guy put in there for what showed up later. So, for example, we had an inflation problem. We put in Volcker. We had a fairly free market president. We put in Greenspan when he was supposedly an Ayn Rand fan, right? Forget about whether they did what they said they were going to do. What did they look like when they got put in? And he looked like a free market guy. Then after Greenspan, it's like 2000, I don't know, 4 or 5, something like that. Who do we put in there? a guy who I think was a total bonehead, but he was considered the world's expert on the Great Depression. And then along comes the Great Financial Crisis, right?
Hmm.
So then who do we put in? Well, we wanted to do some more bad monetary policy, so we put a sock puppet in there. We put Yellen. She was just going to do the same old, same old. So that guaranteed it would just continue. And then you say, okay, now we got to start cleaning up the mess. We put in Powell. He raises rates, right? He seemed to be a guy to sort of tap the brakes. He didn't do what we were hoping, but he did more than the others. He looked like he was trying to turn the super tanker in some new direction. Who is he now nominated? Kevin Warsh. Now, Kevin Warsh has been a hawk against former monetary policy since at least 2015, when I found, and probably further back, where he said all the crap we did post GFC was all stupid. We never should have done it. We never should have intervened at that level. He's been a terrible hawk. So the question is, why Kevin Warsh now? And the answer might be because we're getting ready to do a real reset on the financial system. And so Warsh is the guy.
And so let this shit out now because
So
this is
he's
the
the
only
guy who's
time.
going to say, okay, let's do to the best we can a controlled burn and get this thing burnt down once and for all, where we failed to under Bernanke. He just let the problem persist.
And let's toss
So
this
now,
human trafficking thing in there.
and a quick downturn will drown out this
Yeah.
Epstein shit real fast. And then all of a sudden you look at what happened yesterday. Now, yesterday wasn't a horrifically bad day, but every asset class in the market, all markets, collapse quickly in synchrony, right? There's a slight offset between the collapse of the 30-year treasury rates, which happened immediately when they announced the quality of the sale. Some people said that's why they all collapsed, because the bond sales was one of the strongest bond sale ever, that sort of thing. But the market started tanking before that. The gold market tanked almost instantaneously, but they're all at the same time. Oil, platinum, gold, silver, the NASDAQ, the S&P, everything collapsed at one time. And it was about a 3% drop, 4%. For the metals, it was higher, right? They're more volatile. But what it felt like, the metaphor I came with, the Three Body Problem, the TV show? It's a series. It's about a series of books where it's a sci-fi movie, and 50 years ago, some Chinese guys reach out to some intelligent life out in the universe, and all of a sudden, the intelligent life is responding back in the present. And at one point, the universe, what they said, the universe winked, where the stars literally just flashed on and off a couple of times. The entire star, every star just went black and then lit up, and they said the universe just winked. Yesterday, to me, the market felt like the universe winked, and it's just a hunch, because I'm not a trader, I'm not a technical guy. I can't tell you whose gammas got squeezed. I can't tell you any of that stuff. But what I can tell you is it just felt so simultaneous to me. And it's like you're walking across the pond and all of a sudden you hear crack. And you go, what was that? Like the Bear Stearns hedge fund in '07, where all of a sudden just the $600 million hedge fund goes insolvent. You go, who cares? 600 million, BFD, right? Well, that was not just a small event. That turned out to be a big event. And so it's conceived. I really have this funny feeling that the universe winked at us, and the financial universe. And then the question is, how does that fit in with the Epstein? Well, if you know the shit's going to get out, or you want to get the shit out and somehow clean that system, right? Sort of, so it's normalize it. Then you do what Rumsfeld did. You say we're $2.7 trillion in the hole, missing, the day before the Twin Towers get hit. That story went away within 24 hours.
So toss it out, and the building's going down. Toss in the shit you want burned. For
It's
me, no,
Go ahead.
we'll go for it.
I was just going to say, like, I don't think they knew how bad it was. They've been trying to expurgate these files for almost a year, because in the
Right.
files they're saying take out the names of the presidents or famous people. But what came out's even worse. They actually, it's kind of like a Streisand effect. It's inverted because the
Hmm.
crumbs made people research harder. And what they found is even worse. So all these code words and names and the Bannon stuff and the Goyim and all these things that they didn't take out, they left a lot. And you can either say there's somebody on the inside that's trying to help out, like somebody working under Blanche or under Bondi's like, F this, I'm putting this one through. I'm putting out multiple versions. They put out multiple
The
versions of the files and that
different
different
redactions.
redactions. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so
And
there
there's
is
some
some
statements about some of the files being redacted in a PDF that you can unredact.
correct. And there's
But
also
but I
things
haven't been able to myself. I tried myself and I couldn't figure
I
out
did
how to
too. I couldn't
unredact it.
figure out how the kids did it. They showed me on some video showed it. Um, but they've obviously taken stuff back because they took out one of the co-conspirator forms. The co-conspirator form is it's like one of the top 10 files I've seen because Jeffrey Berman, who was there before, did a 85-page thing, which is heavily redacted, but not redacted enough. So stuff will blow your mind. The but they put it in the files and they took that Bates number, the EFTA, the Epstein ETFA, Epstein Transparency Act, or whatever code acronym's gone. And actually, I reposted that, and then Nancy Mace, the congressperson, said she put all my she's reading my Twitter account because she
Oh
wrote,
shit.
I think it's my number one top 10 file. So
Oh,
I know that these Congress people are looking at stuff I'm posting because
There's a lot of there's a
I'm
lot of famous people who are not anywhere that should have been in there. So Congress and the Senate looked like they were missing from the files, but it could be I'm just not
they've been
seeing the right.
redacted. They've been working on it
So
hardcore
so
for a
so
year.
that's right. So it's
And you
shocking.
people
Epstein knew
yeah.
everyone except no one in Congress and no one in the Senate, right?
The
No
you
one in the
have to
House, no one in the
Blanche
Senate.
flat out said we took out the stuff that showed CSAM or torture or death. So they took that out. So it's worse. What they've shown is supposedly their expurgated version, their spoonerized version. And it's terrible. So I don't think they understood the enormity. The importance is that Congress passed this act to get it done, and to their credit. So um, my view is that I don't think they under. It's much like the guy Alephantis posting all his inside stuff about Haitian sauce on his Instagram, thinking nobody would like decode it.
yeah.
So a lot of this stuff, nobody ever thought that these emails would ever see the light of day, and that a bunch of noited, people on the spectrum would actually read through it and are reading. I mean, there's incredible researchers out there. You
Oh,
guys, I
it's
mean, there's people who are just spending 12 hours a day looking through
oh,
these
it's
things. It's
some of these
crazy.
autists. It's their
Yeah.
finest hour.
Yeah,
Like
oh, it is. It's
I saw
amazing.
one where someone suspected that one of the redacted names was another person, and I can't remember who it was, but they actually took a different email and they laid it right on the redaction. They
Oh
said
God.
it's the right number of pixels.
It
You
was
know,
the
so
guy from
they're
England who, yeah,
crowdsourcing. Yeah, exactly. The Keir Starmer problem.
yeah. People are losing their jobs. So it's happening. This is having a global effect. There's
But
people in
Hmm.
France, England, Norway, US that are dropping. Romler dropped today, who was
I saw that.
yeah, so I mean it's only going to get worse.
which
And
what
in my opinion, as an attorney, as a member of the
Or
State Bar
better,
of
or it's
California,
only going to get better.
in my opinion, as an attorney, as a non-active member of the State Bar of California, it's my opinion that Bondi and Cash Patel are engaged in obstruction
Perjury,
of justice.
perjury.
Yeah, well, I think I think he's actionable, criminally actionable, in my opinion, for perjuring himself before Congress as well. Yeah, Cash Patel.
and what I think Dave pointed out, maybe it's getting, but I don't, and it could just be blind delusional optimism. I I can't help but think that there is a good driving force behind because there's no reason why. So I get what you're saying, Dave, right? You have this huge thing, you have this, hey, toss it in the fire anyway if we're getting rid of that. Like, big financial crisis. Okay. But 2.3 trillion gross amount of money, it's still it's kind of the Pentagon, they have endless money. Everyone's like, yeah, okay, sure, kind of thing. This is, if you want to control the world, this is power projection. This is more lethal than an ICBM, which can deliver a nuclear weapon in 30 minutes or less anywhere in the world. This is power projection. Why would it be burned? I get what you're saying is correct, Dave. This is how you would burn it. Why? Why are you, unless it's
Why
someone
not
in the
hide it?
US.
Why not keep hiding it,
So
right?
the only thing I can think of is someone in the US is looking at this and going, it's Israel and or Israel and America, or pick your point, it's fucking Italy,
Well, it
whatever.
could be an anti-Zionist.
So whoever's it is, Madagascar, this might be a way to go, how do we get this blade off of our neck? And it could be both are true. We're getting rid of this. And then we're gonna launder it through a financial crisis, like you said, Dave. But the end goal seems to be we're taking away the lethality of this thing. Why? Because if you have that thing, you don't want its lethality going away. You want that on people's necks. And it's if people are losing their jobs right now, and they are, and that shit people are reviewing files about George H.W. Bush and disemboweling babies and eating the feces out of this is not if this is damage
Well, that
control.
shit's already out there. The interesting thing is a lot of the stories I'm hearing that are considered horrific by us. I call them pedo hunters. By the people who've been hunting pedos. Um, this is all very old news. A
No,
lot
no,
of it.
I was down the rabbit hole in Pizzagate in 2017. I remember all of
Right.
this.
Right.
But my point stands as to the end goal is this blackmail is being burned. The weapon
Does
is being de
Alephantis show up in there? Does Alephantis show up in there? Does anyone know?
People
I have
around him are Brock is in there, and
Brock is
also
in there.
Mrs.
Okay.
Rothschild, whatever her
Oh
name
yeah,
is.
what's her name? Blondie.
Yeah,
Um,
Blondie, who really isn't a Rothschild. She's an extraordinary person, actually.
she's
I
a
really
Rothschild by marriage, right?
correct. That's correct.
Yeah. But
She
then
she
there's
was one
those
of the first
weird.
movers into the cell phone industry as a lawyer,
yeah.
and she made very smart moves. So I tip my hat to
But
her.
but
Not for being around these people though, but
again, the weapon is being depleted. You don't want to use it, and it's being used. Why?
Well, the question is it being diffused in a controlled burn
Why would you
so it
diffuse
I don't
that?
doesn't
think so.
detonate?
I
So it
don't. I
doesn't
think this is
detonate.
out of their hands now. It's out of
Well,
control.
I
I think
agree
that
with
they were.
that.
I think Trump, my opinion, Trump and his whole squad, Bondi, Patel, Bongino, they saw something and then they were like, "We got to control this," and they really resisted as much as possible. This is a slow roll. The redactions are there. They've taken stuff out. They've put covers on all the nudity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They've spent a lot man hours, a
I
lot of our taxpayer dollars to cover up a lot of the stuff. And they'll go, there you go. Here's all the redactions. And
Well,
in my,
5D chess model though would say
yeah, I don't
that
buy
what
all that
well,
stuff.
but a 5D
I
chess
don't
move
buy that
would
at
be
all.
to get the Democrats to demand it, right?
I
And
think that
so by stirring the pot prior to the release, you could make the argument if you really wanted to get it out there,
yeah,
you
and
you you
yeah,
you get both sides wanting it out for their own particular reasons.
I
You get
agree.
them calling for it.
no,
I
yeah,
agree. It's going to blow up in the Democrats' face too, because they're going to figure
which
out, wow,
which makes me
they're also being co-opted. This is secret society mechanism. This is
yeah,
secret combinations. This is Epstein involved in talking with people in Congress while they're in like literal congressional hearings and all that stuff. It's all being exposed. I don't think they intended this. This is
no,
the
and
secret society mechanics all being brought
which
to
makes
light.
me think that it's a group above and it's not Republican or Democrat. And
QAnon,
no, it's
QAnon.
maybe it is, but like I'm not even gonna throw that out because I don't know anymore. But I'm just looking at end result. The end result is all this shit is coming out. No, you're right, Will. It's not that we're seeing the secrets. No, no, you're seeing behind the curtain. You weren't supposed to know that curtain existed. There's a curtain we all know exists and we see behind it. You're seeing behind a curtain that you weren't supposed to know existed, that you thought it was a tree. You go, "Oh, that's a door," and we're seeing behind it, which makes me think that there is some motive force. There has to be, because if we're talking about the holy grail of blackmail of a president eating a fucking baby. Okay, so we're invading Vietnam. All right, fair enough. You're burning that. Who is burning that? And I don't think it's just at the highest level. I don't think somebody like fumbled the flash drive. It makes me now, is it a controlled thing? Is it somebody going and now we're going to orchestrate world peace? Or is it somebody going, this is so fucked and it's so evil that, fuck these people or whatever. And I have two kids and these people are going to burn in hell or whatever? Or is it just somebody who's like, yeah, I just kind of want to see it burn? Regardless, there seems to be a motive force behind it that isn't the one that had been benefiting from it.
Well,
That's my
who
the
cui bono? Cui bono. Is there a mechanism by which, like, you could say left versus right, but I think that's way too simplistic
yeah,
because
no,
I
it
think they're
is.
all getting caught in the crossfire. You could, I think you have to maybe potentially look offshore and say who wins. You never hear China getting talked about, so if somehow China got in there and found a way to get these things to get released, found a way to bribe the people to get these things out, I
Listen,
hate blaming Russia for everything goddamn thing, every bad thing that
So
happens. I don't think
listen,
stupid.
Russia
if Russia
does
and
that
China
good.
So
did this,
stupid.
God bless them.
Right,
I
right.
don't
But
care who
I
did.
don't think Russia works that way.
I know,
Imagine these
Dave.
Personally,
idiots getting together and they're like, okay, what's our plan, guys? The Epstein files are out. Blame Russia. Like
Yeah, no,
well,
again,
it's
so
like
then
they're doing it
the
for like
counter
decades,
the
man.
counter
Uh,
logic. Here's one I'll ask: is there a way to it on the surface looks like Israel's a big loser, but is there a way to flip this and find a way to make Israel the winner?
so
Is
this
there
is
a I hadn't thought of that angle?
so this is specifically why I don't think Israel. I think Israel's probably responsible for putting it together. This is me not me holding water for Israel. I think they're a fucking den of vipers,
Well,
but I don't think they're benefiting from it. And I'm not
I've been
opposed
trying
to
to
saying
figure
they.
out if they are.
I
I've been trying to figure it out if they are, but I
I
can't
I,
think
I
of
think
it.
I'm like having a come to Jesus moment where like to a degree I think I'm falling on like the QAnon side. I can't. What else is pushing this forward? Who is the benefactor? The
the
average
American
person
public,
who's that's what I'm saying. And who the fuck benefits the American public ever?
really, it never almost never happens.
That's my point. Is like, and let's trust me, I have spent thousands of hours on this podcast mocking QAnon, but I don't have any other
Well,
explanations.
Tucker briefly mentioned QAnon. We hit QAnon twice, I think.
Yeah.
And at one point I kind of laughed it off, but in my head I go, no, there's something very real about it, but then there's a bunch of garbage. There's a bunch of real garbage that makes it hard to swallow. Um, the garbage to me is like where Trump's going to enter with his generals and take over and clean out the rot. And I'm going, no, 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 that's not going to happen. But but I think QAnon must be a bunch of disgruntled spooks who sort of have left the reservation and are rogue. Um, and so when we hit it the second time, he said he had a friend who was really smart and he spent a couple years digging into QAnon. And Tucker said, I still don't understand it. He says there's things I can't say for sure, true or not. And so he was holding back. He was not committing himself, but he certainly has had more in his skull than he was letting on completely um, in the chat. And so I think QAnon is real. I think 4chan is real. I don't know. It's like the
If
underground resistance or
if it
something.
if it really was what we're purporting it to be and something that is taking down, I mean, the core of the basement under the basement, the satanic pedophile cannibals, like then it would be if that is an operation, that would also be an operation that does not cut any quarters, which would include you would want to mock yourself. You'd want to discredit yourself.
But it again, it could be that it's either to clean up the U.S. system to our benefit, or it could be a way
To
to
demolish it to
destroy
bring in a
us.
world power.
That's
Sure,
right.
could very
I don't.
well. Could very
What do you
well.
think, William? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think,
Well,
William?
I just
Yeah.
think there are always somebody turning events into, push for technocracy and new world order
Yeah.
stuff. So this might be it, but I think that this
It's-
is this event and this kind of wildfire. It literally is a wildfire. Like
yeah.
I posted stuff about Bannon and bragging on Trump and like talking about his penis size, and it had 1.7 million views in 24
That's
hours.
what I mean is
So I think that this is something out of their control, but they'll
me
always
too.
try to turn it back. I think they're probably sitting in boardrooms and in private clubs and trying to figure out how they're going to contain this and how they're going to try to turn this to back to their own benefit, which it's been. But I think that there's probably good actors inside the DOJ and inside DC are like, yeah, well, here's some stuff like, oh, yeah, I'll just forget to redact this guy's name, or I'll forget
Um,
to do that. So I think that there's people in the odious apparatus of the United States empire who are like the Star Wars rebels or something, who are facilitating this, and they've seen it actually like weird things like why did this guy vote against this at the last minute, and they've
yeah,
seen people, hey, you want to come to my party at night, oh, stay for the after party, and then
if
stay for the after party, you know what I mean? So they're like, wow, something really dark is here, and they have Christian values or just basic moral values, and they're like, let's facilitate this. I'm gonna structure it my way. And Trump is lying, and all these other people are lying too. But I do think that it's like at the end of True Detective, it's the battle of light against
uh,
darkness. That's my take.
you know,
It's
and
not
I
some kind of it's not some kind of like deliberate drop by Trump or
sure.
anybody in Congress. They don't know these code words. That's why they're there. If they knew the code words, all the code words, grape soda, shrimp, cheese, cream cheese, they would all have been redacted.
And it's I'm with you. They're gonna try to bend it through because even this though, so it's sort of like the whole so what's the end result of it? That's where you can kind of tell who benefited from it. And it's like most things we see Patriot Act, it's always this expansion of the federal. The net result I've seen from this, from my friends on the far right and the far left, is like, I'm not even kidding. Like go to church and start looking at land out in the country. Like the end result is not like, and therefore we need to invade Iraq or and therefore we need dragnet surveillance. I mean like hardcore liberal friends of mine with like chicks with armpit hair and blue hair talking about, finding Christ. This is
I
not
just
the
ordered a crucifix. I'd never wear a cross. I'm
so
putting one on today.
so
I just
yeah.
got delivered as we're talking.
So but so
As
Silver
we're
like
bullets
talking, I'm
in
gonna
your
go put it
gun and
back on. I'm not
garlic around
kidding.
your neck.
I'll
I'm
go
not
get
even
it.
I
I'll go
didn't
get
get
it. I'm coming back. I'll be
Well,
back in a
I'm gonna
second.
go get a coffee. So I'm gonna make
no,
Tommy have
I'll
fun.
I'll blame I'll hold the
You
no.
can talk. You can
Yeah,
talk. I can still hear you.
yeah, no. But so that's my point is like the end result isn't something where it's in hindsight you go, oh, that led to drag set surveillance, oh, or dragnet surveillance, oh, that led to,
So
creation of the
who
DHS.
can you identify who Massey appears to be the front man, but I don't know if he's really the
I don't,
motivating force.
I think what we have to consider is it would be a mirror of what we've all talked about, that, the bad people in charge are not really the ones you don't know the real names. I think that might also exist for the counterforce. We probably don't, there are front people, just like nobody thinks, that the president runs the world. It's like, yeah, there's a cabal of
Well, it's
Satanists.
pretty clear that Epstein ran a lot of shit that we
Well,
didn't
my
know.
point is so then
Epstein
why?
is way more complicated than we could fathom, I think, than I
Okay,
could fathom.
okay, so sure. So in the same way, you can use a missile to deliver a nuclear weapon across the world, or you can use the missile to deliver satellite internet into orbit. In the same way, if a structure exists of cloak and dagger, behind the scenes secrecy for satanic pedophile cannibals, it's shown that it exists. Why can't it exist for a group of people that are like, we're gonna we're gonna fight this? The model exists of a shadowy group. Shadowy doesn't have to imply evil. And now, is it a controlled operation? It could be. I hope it is because that implies some sort of planning. It could also very well be a sort of like you said, disgruntled. They're looking at this and they're going, you know what, man, fuck these people. Like, fuck these people. And it's, if Ed Snowden can come out and blow the whistle because his conscience is eating at him because people are surveilling their grandma's emails, that also implies that somebody might blow the whistle because they're watching, the chairman of the Fed eat a baby in a ritual. Like, so that's my point is
At a
I don't
restaurant called Cannibal.
that's my point. So is it, but so to for Will just came back, is it necessarily a controlled intelligence opera? I hope it is, but I'm not limiting my possibilities to that. It could be more of a not quite emergent phenomena, but kind of like a emergent disgruntled, like you said, Christian values or basic human values where they're going. And then what's the alternative? Well, they're going to kill me if I say something. They might be going, yeah, but they're eating babies and I have kids. I'm fucked either way. Regardless of the outcome, it seems like the end result is who's the benefit? It seems to be the average person, which tells
They're
me
this
that,
lying
is
too. One
this,
of the myths is
this
like,
looks
oh, they're
weird, but
they're Hebrewophiles or they're into 14 or 15. There's younger kids in there, 11, 10,
yeah.
prepubescent kids. They're just like horrible, horrible, horrible people. You just mentioned the head of the Fed. You also mentioned Volcker Dave, who is part of another secret society that's revealed in the Epstein files that nobody I know don't know anybody who knew about it, which is the Zodiac Club of 12 guys. They're
I
trying
don't
to
know
find
the
a
Zodiac
replacement.
Club at all. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I didn't either. But you can
So
look up Zodiac in the Epstein files thing, it'll pop up and they'll go, we're trying to find other members. Volker's involved, and also kind of the famous Tom Brokaw.
yeah, it's
There's pictures of Epstein with Walter Cronkite just to shatter worlds.
Yeah,
it's
it's bad.
it doesn't seem that the end result of this benefits any traditional power structure that normally does, from whatever
Unless
it is.
it's a foreign operative.
And if a foreign operative's doing it, I'm happy because I don't.
Well, I do want to clean up the mess,
Yeah, no,
but
sure. But if it comes out, they're like, well, America didn't release this, China released this. I'm like, listen, if China is releasing names of the people that eat babies, then you know
yeah,
what?
go for it.
Hail
Yeah,
China.
go
I'll
for it.
change this
Go for
flag.
it.
Like,
So
I
I
don't.
this
know.
is it's
Yeah,
above political parties
It
or
is.
yeah,
normal
I totally agree.
left
I'm
right
just,
paradigm. It's
I'll
this is
put up. I'll
beyond
put
our
up the
normal
red
thinking
flag. I'll.
paradigm. And it goes
but
all the way
but the
back, Moloch
motivation of the
worship,
people
all
to
that stuff.
release it may not be out of good versus evil. It may be a purely tactical thing.
Game of Thrones.
E-
Well,
e-
even then, if it's a Game of Thrones, you know what, man? Okay. I'll.
Fine.
Right.
Hey. Okay.
It's to
Do
the
that
general public's benefit. Like, what are you
exactly.
paying taxes
Yes,
for?
yes,
You're
They're
yes.
paying
only
taxes
releasing
to
the
people who
files
are
so he
raping
can.
kids and
Yeah. They're
eating beef jerky? Like, give me a
yeah.
break.
He's only releasing the files so that he can be on the throne. I'm like, if
Had you
his
had you heard
interest
beef
is
jerky before these files? Had you heard the term
never,
beef jerky? I had
never.
not heard it, and I thought I'd heard them all.
No, I hadn't
Exactly.
heard of grape soda, cream cheese, shrimp, or beef jerky.
As Tim Dillon says, how many times have you ever
What's
sent
the
an
cream
email?
cheese? What's the cream cheese?
Cream cheese is that it's the breast milk in a baby's stomach. They take the stomach out and let it ferment.
Oh my
It
God! So it's like
corresponds with what
haggis. It's like the most perverted haggis on the planet.
It's the
it
depths of hell,
cor
Will.
it corresponds with that thing you said about Bush eating intestines. They put the woman's breast milk into a baby, and then they cut out the intestines, and then they eat it. That's what that statement of the guy was saying. And it's called cream cheese. So they're calling it cream cheese. There are things within the Epstein files where there was a UCLA doctor who they were talking about how to get a baby to breastfeed more effectively. Like, why would Jeffrey
Well, you
Epstein give a crap about that if he's a bachelor, 66-year-old bachelor, 50-year-old bachelor, 55-year-old bachelor?
well, they were
You
saying
hope that it's only trying to breastfeed is what I'll leave it at.
no. I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty. Somebody else. I think it's pretty clear. They
What?
would play that. They would play the mother's voice so that the baby would suck, and it would be adult men putting their genitalia in the baby's mouth. Who is benefiting from this
What's
coming
That
out?
what's
shrimp,
the
that shrimp.
what's the best source?
He
Like
had
for
a shrimp
example,
cocktail picture on his
Yeah,
like
he said like shrimp, you get rid of the head and keep the body. There,
exactly.
it is who is benefiting?
yeah.
I not a power structure. That's my point. Is like who the fuck? This isn't Gulf of
That's the
Tonkin.
ultimate about
This is
blackmail too. Like, oh my God. And it's
why
binding.
and why would you and why would you use it? Why would you use it up?
These groups, whether it's like MS-13, the mafia, they do criminal acts to bind themselves together. And even in
Yes.
business, it happens.
Yeah.
Like you go out and you screw prostitutes together and like, hey, Bob and I are on the squad together. We got drunk and
War crimes. Yeah.
whatever it is. And so this is their version of it, is like they're super dark. Ghislaine Maxwell needs to be tried again. There's no question
Yeah.
about it. She
And
needs to
it's
stay in jail
and any of these binding things, its value comes from the fact that no one knows it because that is its value. I'm gonna tell your wife.
secrecy, the
I'm
power of
gonna tell
secrecy.
whatever. It loses all value if it's exposed. Why is it being
It's all occultism too. Jess Staley, who's like being brought
oh
up today,
yes,
he's
yes.
walking around making the occult Masonic sign of silence, like, hey guys, be quiet, keep your mouth shut.
Well, that's
Goes
the other interesting thing about the satanic parts, and that is, and I've never quite understood this, but my understanding is, I think the best way to view it, and Tommy, you and I have talked about this, is to view it as religion. And if you view it as religion, then all of a sudden you can sort of invoke religions of the past and say, okay, now I can kind of see it. The Aztecs ripping the heart out and eating it, things like that. The I had a point to make. I don't have it.
Well, it's like you're
Um,
right. It is a religion. I do believe you're right in that it is a religion, and it's the old school religion. It's like the
it's very
religion from
old
Rosemary
Rosemary's
school.
Oldest.
Babies. Like
It's
it's
the
they're
oldest.
all
I
witches.
saw
Yeah,
Rosemary's Baby on acid when I was in about eighth grade.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was
yeah,
quite an
What, dude?
experience.
I bet.
It
I
was,
watched
it was quite an
Exorcism of
experience.
in 2010. I was living in the
Oh, that
frat
was
house.
horrifying. The Exorcism was horrifying to
No, no,
me.
no. I was 2010. I was living in Valdosta, Georgia, in a frat house. Everyone had gone home for Thanksgiving. For whatever reason, I didn't that year. And I don't know why. And I never smoked weed, so I had no tolerance. I was ripping gravity bongs, sitting in the frat house alone with the lights off, watching Exorcism of Emily Rose. I don't
Oh
know why. I
God.
still look
Oh
back at that and
God.
don't know why I did it. But
To me,
like,
that was the creepiest of all the sci-fi movies. That was the creepiest.
it's, but the value in this stuff comes from the fact that no one knows it exists because that's what loses its value. It's why does the N word have value? Because you can't. Cracker has no harm. You're a cracker. All right. You're a honky. All right. Why does this is why I'm always saying like you're
Well,
just
so the
making it
to release it basically is devaluing
correct. It's
that
why
evil
I
force. So
I'll openly say like faggot, retarded. My best friend's dad is mentally challenged. One of my other best friends is his uncle, great guy, gay. I have don't hate either of them. I say faggot and retarded. Number one, I grew up in South Park and I think it's funny. But number two, you take its teeth away by saying it. I lost a
right,
brother to suicide. I always make
right.
suicide jokes because it also helps me. It takes the blade away. The, the the sharpness of this stuff comes from the fact that no one knows it exists. And I know I'm keep running in circles, but it's like, why is it? It doesn't benefit anyone that we traditionally would think. Well,
I think that secrecy and secret societies and these religions are endemic to the humanity, going all the way back into the beginnings of human civilization. There always was a wizard, a mage, a priest, keeps things together, has secret rituals, and it binds all the powerful people together over everybody else, and they just lie to them. It's there's a really great, and so I think it goes in endemic, but there's a really great study that came out of Russia. It's called the game Werewolf. Have you ever heard of that?
I do know that game
Yeah,
where someone is a werewolf. You sit around in a circle
exactly.
and you play this game and you decide who's the werewolf, and it ends up the werewolves end up winning every time.
Always win. So you can have a
Yeah,
game of two werewolves and 20 people, and they sit around in a circle. Everybody closes their eyes. The two werewolves decide who's dead, and then everybody opens their eyes, and then that person's gone, and they try to figure out who is the werewolf who selected that person. And the werewolf always wins. What's the lesson? What's the result? What's the takeaway? It's that inside information is super powerful in
superior.
any human organization. And that's
that
what
was
the Epstein
created
files are.
by an undergraduate. That
Right.
I think that was
It just shows how smart the Russians are. They have to like make fun of them as stupid and stuff. Their
No, they're not
advances were
stupid. They're
great.
brilliant.
That's kind of what the Cold
they
War.
studied intermittent fasting
Oh,
long
everything.
before anyone.
Auras,
Yeah,
energetics, egregores, all this stuff. But that's why the Cold War had to take place on the West because the Russians were too good. They
Yeah.
had to compete against them. They had to compete against communistic ideas, but their sciences were incredible. They're still incredible scientists.
a
So
So,
barbell society.
yeah, I mean, Pavlov, I mean, we can go into all that stuff, but I
but so
think that that's the kind
we
of
You know the
undercurrent of
backstory. This is a trivia point. Backstory of Pavlov's dog, which I saw the most interesting Pavlov's dog story ever, where my dog found a toad, and it kept trying to pick it up, and the secretions, and the dog was frothing at the mouth. But a year later, there was another toad, and I pointed to it, and the dog started frothing instantly. Now,
holy
the
shit.
Pavlov's dog story. Apparently, Pavlov's dogs, after he trained them, were almost killed in a flood. They're traumatized up the kazoo. They lost their Pavlovian response. The trauma wiped out the Pavlovian response.
Whoa.
There's some message in that.
There's something. I don't know why, but
Yeah,
there's
yeah. It's one of those curious anecdotes that you don't know what to do with. But
that's another aspect of the SRA is trauma. Like all the girls who went through the Epstein network are all traumatized. So they're deliberately inducing
mhm,
traumatic events to them.
dissociation.
why is it always girls? It's not always girls. You know, if you go to
Because
that
it's
site,
creeps, it's weak men prey on women.
50 voices, there are men, but I guess it's playing in the power
Well,
structure
it's
that
it's
chicks
evil.
are
You're
important
preying
to
on
the
it's men preying on women. That's
right,
what weak men do. That's
right.
real men get drunk like men and fight each other. Weak men prey on women. It's in my opinion that's what it. But you're saying about the werewolf, insider information. This is opening everyone's eyes and showing who the werewolf is.
So
Who
who
benefits from
wins? Who benefits?
The
Yeah.
the average
public. Yeah.
person? Now, is it a
We're not
coordinated?
going to get eaten by the werewolf because
That's
there's like
yeah,
2 or 3 million dead bodies at the border between Ukraine and
yeah,
Russia that were all eaten by the werewolf. So
yes.
this is not like joking around in context. We're having a response of enjoying like understanding new understandings, but it has real world
It's very
events.
real.
There's all kinds of murders and things associated with this too, and there's
Well, the
public
other
figures and stuff.
interesting thing, by the way, is that Putin has on several occasions made some
The
pretty bold
vampire
statements.
ball.
Yeah, made some very profound statements about Western leaders and the bad things they were doing. So Putin comes out looking somewhat of a hero in this story
I'll change the
too.
flag to I'll do it right now.
I know, but
Just hit a button and another flag
he's
drops.
made some statements that really are eye-catching. I've turned into a bit of a Putin fan, not because he's a sweetheart, but rather he's one of the, I think he's a grounded leader. He's running a country that can't be run by Justin Trudeau,
No.
right? I mean, it's a tough place. And he seems, above all else, he seems to do what's in the best interest of Russia. And that's what he's paid for, right? That's what his job is. And our leaders don't seem to be doing that, which is why there we go. There's Putin.
Yeah.
В западных элитах очень сильно желание заморозить существующее положение, несправедливое положение вещей в международных делах. Они привыкли столетиями набивать брюхо человеческой плотью, а карманы деньгами. Но они должны понять, что бал вампиров заканчивается.
I love his delivery, man. He doesn't raise his voice. It's awesome.
And the other thing he doesn't do when he gets asked tough questions,
Hail
he
Mother
answers.
Russia.
When he gets asked what look like tough questions, he doesn't evade them.
Oh,
And one time he had a press conference in the top of the Gazprom headquarters, and he had something like a dozen international press present. For 3 hours, he just took their questions. And these guys are a little bit walking on eggshells because you don't want to try to bully Putin, right? That strikes me as not that he's going to have you killed, but rather if you're going to get something, treating him like shit's not going to do it. And at one point, some guy said, "Oh, I have another question, but I'll wait." And Putin says, "Well, you might not get another chance, so you ought to ask it." And his answers were so direct. So I'm a fan of Putin. I like Viktor Orban. I like Meloni from Italy. There are leaders out there who I think are good. They don't happen to be running our country necessarily, and they're certainly not running, oh, I don't know, France, England, places like that. But there are good guys out there. Maybe it's an Eastern Bloc cleanout.
Is
Maybe.
when was the vampire ball quote from?
I don't know that date. It's within the last couple of years, after
I thought
February.
it might be this week or something. I just saw it the other day.
No, it
Maybe
was after the war started, so within the last 4 years. I don't know the exact date. I could probably find it.
maybe Russia got their hand on this shit and was just like, all right,
Now,
America's
who are we looking at here?
Just Staley. This guy paid out a lot of money,
Staley.
but here he is making the sign of silence. There's this is from, they'd like to dress these girls up in these freaking costumes and rape
Disney.
them. That was their kind of thing.
Disney. Boy,
Snow
does
White.
Disney have a problem. Yeah.
But
Disney
this is him.
has a
He's
problem
going
head
into
to
some
toe.
meeting where they it's either a courtroom or something. This guy paid out and lost a lot of money. He was the head of Morgan Stanley, so this isn't a chump. This is an elite.
Right.
Making the sign of silence. Like, they take this stuff seriously. I would never go. I'm not a Mason. I would never do that. But these guys, they have hand signs. They do a lot of them. Crowley does it a lot too.
Yeah. There's so much shit out there. And what's also troubling is, they're trying to dump debris to throw us off. So they're trying to flood the zone.
There. AI
And
pictures,
it's
AI
so
pictures of
hard
Epstein alive, fake stories. People, they came on to kind of like, they will respond to things I post on X so fast that it doesn't feel authentic at all. It feels
Oh, yeah,
totally
the bots
innovative.
show up instantly, right?
Yeah.
Run a poll about Russia versus Ukraine and watch the Ukrainian bots show up. Oh my God. Or say something about Israel on there. Boom, you get pounded.
Well,
You
that's a
get
good point.
pounded.
I mean, I think one of the interesting thing is not that people are talking about this, but who isn't talking about it.
Oh,
Like,
Israel's
this
been
is a
quiet.
huge event. This is going to change American history, and people are going to get shot. Like, I would really be concerned if I was in these files, because you're not going to, this is from a legal perspective. This is my view. You're not going to be able to, once people know this and it's gone through the country like wildfire, because my kids are talking about it, my teen
Oh,
kids. Once they go, they're not going to be able to put a jury together who will convict people. They won't be able to do it. You will actually have juries with 12 people and nobody will say convict.
yeah.
Not that
Sort
there's
of
a
like,
holdout. It's just that people go, who cares? This guy was raping 10-year-old kids.
It's a unifying thing that I've never. I mean, again, like,
I'm not kidding either. I'm not kidding.
no, neither am I. Dude, I have
but
friends who
during the
has.
great financial crisis, though.
This isn't the financial crisis.
No, I know,
This
but
is
during
killing
the
kids.
no,
People,
I know,
you're
no.
right.
But
It's a
here's
unifying
what
act.
happened though. Here's what happened though. During the Great Financial, there was one book. I read a ton of books on it. One of the books talked about the legal aspects, and a couple of prosecutors put together real solid cases. Takes months to put together, and they made the case. They got the conviction, and then an appeals court in 3 hours overturned it, and they just said, "Screw it. We can't do this. We can't win if every time we spend months and man years of effort, and an appeals court takes 3 hours and throws it out. That's what will happen if we try to get people. It'll be thrown out, and then they'll say the court system is just too slow, too inefficient. We'll never get them."
It's going to create vigilantism. It's a natural response. And
I
I don't,
absolutely agree. I've been wondering why we don't see more of that already.
you've
I
seen a
just
little
don't
bit. They've
understand.
covered it up. That one guy that went to the DHS because he got poisoned by the kill shot. They covered that story up. He was pissed.
Right.
He tried to shoot him. But I think the Mangione, I don't think they could convict that guy, right? They tried to convict him. He couldn't do it.
Well, I think he's a trained assassin too, right? Mangione looks like classic trained assassin to me. He's got personalities left and right. You watch him, and he's got all these different personalities all showing up at random. He smiles, he frowns. It's just he looks totally created to me. Mangione looks like an MK Ultra product to me.
But how old is he? Where was he? Where did he come
Well, he
from?
was an A student. The
He was the head of
CEO he
his class
killed.
at a private
It,
Jesuit high
he was
school.
a 10, I think, also, but he killed the CEO of a healthcare company, which you could say, okay, he had a reason. Well, it turns out his family were stinking rich, and they made all their money ripping off Medicare on senior citizen housing. So it's not like he was
So was
some.
it a business job?
I have no idea what it was. I have no
Go
idea. But
look at the whole Mangione case. It stinks to high heaven. Kaczynski, he was an admirer of Kaczynski, who was an MK Ultra victim, and Kaczynski pops up in this, and he was bombing Jeffrey Epstein's friends. I mean, you can't write this stuff. Mangione was an
Ted's
admirer
been
of.
vindicated.
Look,
so go watch
listen,
Tucker's
listen.
interview
Hold on,
about
hold on,
Mangione shot him at 7 a.m. in the morning. How did he know that the head of that healthcare
UHC.
company was walking out of the hotel that early?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That it's even more incredible because he went into Central Park, which is literally like involved in Catcher in the Rye and where Chapman was. He literally drives his bike into Central Park and tries to disappear. But he was in the. I mean, you want to talk about?
I know you and I
sinks,
did an episode on it.
right?
Yeah.
This is not random. He went through a personality change after injuring his back. He went into a hospital, literally like 10 miles away from where Chapman was in the hospital, and then comes out a completely different character. And this is the common theme in a lot of these
Over and over
guys.
and over.
They've all been in the hospital.
And you got the transgender
Sirhan
shooters.
Chapman,
Transgender shooters. Oh my God.
Kaczynski, yeah.
Why the transgender shooters? Why is it all of a sudden why? Because you say, well, they're tormented souls, but why all of a sudden there's like 8 in a row? Well, what's that about? What's that about? 8 in a row.
Well, you want to talk about Satanic Empire? Well, Crowley himself thought that Satan was a positive androgyne, and you see that androgenidity or androgyne theme goes all the way back to through the occult, much like the Baphomet figure is an androgyne, right? So it goes all the way back where you don't have, and this is kind of what happens in our modern society, is the Satanic Empire aspect of the culture changed to trans. And a lot of these Jewish guys, like the Pritzkers who were involved in the Epstein files, are pro androgeneity. And it seems like Epstein is bisexual for sure. He's trisexual, I would call him, but he
I'd
seems to
say
have
he's hump anything that moves.
seems to have
It
a
doesn't
sexual
move and
he seemed
doesn't
to have a
move.
he seemed to have a sexual relationship with Wexner and with another person named Josh, where they're talking like boyfriend and girlfriend in the Epstein files. But my point is that going back to your transsexual, this is there's somebody who's a heavy duty Crowley follower, not just Crowley, who was bisexual or trisexual too. And a lot of these Satanists they don't have barriers in their sexual life like Crowley didn't. And so there's similarities between Crowley and Epstein in that regard. But one of the kind of pass-throughs between Crowley to the modern day is a guy by the name of Genesis George, who really is one of the first early transsexuals and involved in heavy-duty body modification. And what he said is that the transsexuals will be the frontline soldiers of the Satanic Revolution. So this isn't some kind of like ideology or biology. This is Satanism. The transgender people are satanic front soldiers, much like Genesis George said. So people need to kind of change their kind of prism in the way that they look at these people. They're
They
not
have to
just
think
transgender. It's part
religion.
of a
They have to
satanic
think of
culture.
religion. They have
It's
to
it's
think of
well,
religion,
religion.
correct.
it's also the inversion of like the most base nature, and nature being God is it's you're destroying genitals. That is
Right.
the satanic perversion.
Like that French skier.
What?
French skier caught one of the gates in his crotch.
Oh God.
And there's an audio, and you can hear him whimpering. I mean, you can hear him
Yeah.
squealing, and it looks like he reaches down his pants and pulls his hand out looking for blood. That's what it
Oh
looks like.
God.
Now, what made it wild was the narrator could not control himself. And he's narrating and he's going, oh man, he just hurt those two bad boys. It's like that.
Oh
I'm going, oh
God.
my God. So this has nothing to do with the topic, but
No, no, no.
there's
Hey,
nothing funnier than ripping your balls off, right?
you gotta have some levity.
I
Yeah,
know.
I think you have to think about it in terms of, and it's not or. I think it's both. It's a very real power structure, blackmail, dissociation, MK Ultra creation, and I think it's also like you could look at, let's just say, like good deeds. You went and worked at the homeless shelter. It's like when I went to private Catholic high school, you had to do a certain number of hours per semester. You could still like the work you did, but you were benefiting from it. In college, our fraternity would always donate a ton of blood. It's because the fraternity that donated the most blood got like 3 kegs of beer or something. And it's you can still care, but there's these incentives. Why did you donate all this money to a charity? Well, it can be a tax write-off. You can have all these things where there is beneficial, but sometimes you just see people doing good things because they believe that it is what they are to do, and there is no personal gain. The inversion can also be true. Why are you doing this satanic ritual abuse? Oh, we're creating assassins. Why are you doing this ritual abuse? Oh, it's great blackmail. Why are you doing this? I'm just evil and I'm praising the Dark Lord. I think both exist.
I think so. I mean, this stuff comports with Bush, 9/11, the occultism behind the event of 9/11.
Yeah.
So there are kind of similar things that are happening.
So
Um,
the victims cite names of fame. One of the things you notice about the victims, the survivors, is they almost invariably cite the names of only of dead people. So if you listed Kathy O'Brien or Annika Lucas, Annika Did you see Patrick Bet David, where he put the squeeze on her and she fessed up to being David Rockefeller, who was her, they call owner sometimes.
You
But
said that in our last
if you
channel.
listen to someone like Kathy O'Brien, there's always dead people. So it's Gerald Ford. She even mentioned one Elvis. She mentioned Reagan shows up, which would shock most right wingers. I think now Reagan's got to be pure as the driven snow, right? Reagan shows up. Um, One of the problems you have, and this is where some long chats with Nick Bryan kind of help, is the memories of the victims are horrifically bad because they started out with none and then had to reassemble them, and it's hard enough with a normal life experience to reassemble memories, let alone when you've been through that. So I don't know if all these names are all legit. I tried to ask Julian Engel one day how she sorts through memories and how if she has some mechanism by which she tries to sanity check a memory to see if it's a real memory or a false memory. And she got edgy pretty quick, and so I backed away because I didn't. You don't want to accuse a victim of you don't want to accuse them of anything, right? You really want to lay low, and give them the space that they need. So,
The transformation of America. That is a good title. I think putting people into a trance. This is kind of like the magician kind of element. There actually is a mention of Mesmer in these files, talking to between Bannon and Epstein, and they're like praising him. Other than Epstein calling Bannon a good boy, like a dog, he keeps calling him boy, like his boy. But they're talking about Mesmer. Yeah, let me see if I can find that. So I've when I worked for Ed Opperman, he had Kathy O'Brien on, and her paramour, handler, boyfriend guy was there, and he was kind of giving information to her to repeat.
See the guy who saved her?
Supposedly. And this it made me minimize my view of her, because he was basically telling her, talk about the hunting parties. So maybe she couldn't remember stuff like that. So I'm going to give her a break.
Well, the other problem you have when you listen to these victims, and I do give them breaks, but they also speak in the language of psychiatrists and therapists. And so one of the things that happens is they are talking about something that's very, very personal, yet it sounds like it's coming through the mouths of a shrink. And so it gets this surreal component to it, where Kathy will talk about dissociative identity disorder and all these things, and you'll go, but you don't sound like a victim. You sound like a person who's been communicating with victims. And I think that's just it goes with the territory, right? It goes with the territory. I get a little nervous about some of the what I call the pedo hunters. I get a little nervous about their authenticity, about whether I'm reading the room correctly on them. And I don't want to name them because I don't know which ones I'm not sure about, but I worry about that you could think you are forming some sort of intellectual alliance with someone and find out that it is not the right person.
Malicious, yeah.
Yeah.
This is, the Bannon and Epstein exchanges are really something else, but this is just one of many. But he says this is at the end of the year in 2018, Epstein would be dead in about 8 months, arrested in I think 7 months, July. He writes, I remember standing in line to see Deep Throat and thought that was talent. Dude.
Who's Mesmer?
Mesmer was one of the early hypnotists. So that's where we get the word mesmerized, is because he was like one of the early 19th century ones. So he's in that kind of arc of all these kind of mind controllers.
So do you think we're going to get the redacted names of things like, I really enjoyed your torture video. Who the hell sent the torture video? Are we going to get that?
I hope it's in the American people's interest. So,
well, I hope so
these are
too.
criminal acts. These are criminal acts just on the part of like following up things of people who did bad things. They should redact it.
I'll tell you, the guys who should be in trouble really are the Department of Justice, Bondi and Patel.
They're in incredible trouble.
They're in incredible
trouble. Go to fucking hell.
If the next president, God forbid, Kamala Harris or whatever, he can be prosecuted. Even Massey's talking about it. Like, you can be prosecuted for what you're doing. You're involved in my opinion, they're involved in criminal acts, obstruction of justice. These are federal charges. This is USC stuff. Let me just read this. I remember
Yeah.
staying in line to see Deep Throat, and I thought that was talent. Dude, I already said yes, unless you think it's stuff. This is where they're trying to make a documentary to rehab Epstein's thing. That's the other thing, is like he's trying to save himself. So this is like his will to live. He's not suicidal here. And then Bannon writes, you get to see it before it goes anywhere. I can promise you it will be mesmerizing, brutal, enlightening. Epstein, Dr. Mesmer was a genius. Bannon, yes, you are the new Dr. Mesmer, both the light and the dark.
So it makes no sense, by the way, Epstein would kill himself. I think it was Brett Weinstein made the argument. He said he was too powerful and had too many potential escape routes for him to pull the plug on himself at that point in time.
He thought he was going to get out. He was going to get out just like he did before.
And I would argue he did get out, but that's a separate issue.
I think he's dead. I think that one of the interesting things is how many pictures of his dead body there are in the Epstein files. And this is a consistent theme on political assassinations, is that the people involved in the political assassinations want evidence that their target is dead. They don't want to have any.
It's like a scalp. It's like a scalp.
Correct. So if you watch Charlie Kirk when he got aced in 2025, both of those guys, they had video cameras in their glasses. They're literally looking at Kirk after he got hit with a weapon, not a gunshot, and then they turn it off. So
what do you think was the weapon, since there's about 10 theories?
Super high tech. No.
Something it's not a gun.
Of course not. The environment of Charlie Kirk is the perfect environment why there's not a gun. I'll repeat that. The environment of where Charlie Kirk was murdered is the perfect environment to prove that it's not a gun.
Some sort of sonic or something? Some sort of directed energy weapon kind of thing?
Everything's white. He's wearing a white shirt that's, I think it said freedom.
Yeah.
He's in a white backdrop. Yeah. He's over a white balcony.
Yeah, you're right. The splatter, shadow. Yeah,
there's nothing. In criminal forensics, there are guys who make a living doing blood spatter like displays, like of people who got knifed or shot, or I forgot the guy's the Asian dude. He like made his whole career on blood spattering, like proving, and people would get prosecuted and convicted based upon blood spatter.
Oh, yeah. No, they can,
Charlie Kirk is dead in a nanosecond. His eyes roll back. This is not a gunshot.
And he also had that seizing, that flinching thing that you
He's dead right away.
Right.
There's no evidence.
So who did it?
Hold on, keep going. Hold on. Will, keep going.
Keeps interrupting me. The shot, there's no evidence of like him even responding to a shot, because if he got shot even in his neck, he would have, the immediate thing would be to like put your hand over your wherever you got shot, chest, anywhere. He's gone. His eyes roll back, and then his neck opens up. So you can't see what you don't understand. So if you don't understand, the average person, 99% of the people will be like, oh, he got shot, because that's what your reference points are. There's no reference point for what happened to Kirk. That's my point. He got hit with either a sonic weapon or something that was correlated with what they put in either around his chest or something on. Why did he have two mics? A lot of people in their analysis of that scene, they don't understand that. Why would he have two mics? He's got one in his face. Why does he have this other thing here? He doesn't need it. And so something happened where they triggered. I mean, Candace is right. There's very sketchy things going on around the people around, including Satanists and Paul Vallely, among other things, which I would be shocked to have anywhere within 50 feet of me, let alone 500 miles. But he's sitting as a board member of TPUSA. But something going on in the input. There's so much money involved. Anyway, my point is to conclude, not shot with a gun, hit with some kind of high-tech weaponry. That I don't know.
Could have been internal.
Like I said, I don't know.
Well, he was drinking a beverage, for example.
It seems like they really wanted to publicly execute him. So they could have done something where they could have got him on the road or somebody around TPUSA. The same thing happened with Kennedy. They wanted a public execution. They could have poisoned him. He had meetings with Helms. Like actually came with a gun to the White House about a week or two before JFK was killed, and
Yeah.
he's like foreshadowing it, like we're gonna blow your fucking head off, bro. So for me, Kirk is something different going on. There's a lot of acrimony and anger against him, and they wanted to do it publicly and get it filmed. So I don't know. I don't know why they wanted that. Like it's very malevolent and demonic,
I got to
diabolical what they
confess,
wanted.
I hadn't even thought about the fact that you could have just poisoned him quietly and made it look like a heart
Yeah.
attack and
Yeah. Take a plane down,
blame the vaccine. You
T-bone
know,
a car. Yeah.
Anything. I
yeah.
mean, there's all different things. Once those gears started moving, they knew he was going to be at in Utah, which is totally deep state Mormons and all the secret society stuff, and they're all, kind of contained and yeah. So it's really a shame. It's
Ha
really our
happened on the
JFK. Yeah.
happened on the 25-year anniversary. So September 10th, Rumsfeld, September 10th, 1990 or 1990 or 1991 is when H.W. Bush first gave the speech. It's when it's first coined New World Order. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I'm just now realizing it was 25 years to the day, right? Or 35. Not that that's important, but just September 10th. It's not a not trivial day.
So Eric is hopelessly screwed up looking.
She
Um,
creeps me. Dave, I've completely come over to your side. I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt for a long. Dude, I don't. Something's fucked. Something's fucked.
totally.
Something's fucked. I don't know what it is, and I did. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but
Yeah,
no,
she's not a grieving widow.
something is creepy as
They
hell.
already took down his picture, like in the
I saw
studio.
that.
Like
I
that's
saw
weird.
that.
Like,
You know, we had a lacrosse player die in shit, I don't know, 2002 or something, and his jersey's still up in the locker room,
Yeah,
right? You know,
yeah.
yeah.
one of the things that I don't know about Kirk is what his relationship to his underlings was. Was he two-faced, or was he
I,
kind of like what he was in public? Was that
I,
his real personality? I don't know. But there seems to
Well,
be a
I've
lot.
wondered if he was himself a creation of something, right?
like
Because
what?
his background is as furry and hazy and blurry as any. Here's this guy who was not particularly successful, as evidenced by the fact he just basically finished high school. They said he was not very popular. I've seen no interviews of people from his high school talking about what Charlie was like. The news would be just carpet bombing
Yeah,
his high school, classmates, saying,
yeah,
"What did you know about Charlie?" And there's nothing in this very murky gazillionaire, took him under his wing. TPUSA was registered in 2002, so it's by no means was original to Charlie. And so I keep wondering if, first of all, I don't think his kids are his kids. I'm not sure he had kids. I'm not sure they're married. I'm not sure any of that story was true.
you're muted, Will.
Wow, I didn't know that. I had no idea. That's
Oh,
wow.
so search Charlie Kirk's children on the internet, and you will not see their faces. And then the strange things that really start to get weird is, besides Erica looking really weird, is one video shows Erica, someone driving up to a TPUSA event, and Charlie Kirk's kid from the back, you can't see her face, starts getting real excited and then starts saying Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk. And I go, my kids did not call me Dave Collum, you
That's
know?
it. Yeah,
And then there's the one where she got asked what year they got married and she couldn't remember. Now, I don't know many 4-year veterans of marriage, especially women. Men, I could imagine it, but the women would not forget the year they got married. And
yeah,
Charlie started covering for her. This is all on video, this is all captured.
yeah.
And they met in Israel. I'm not convinced. Mike Ferris used to see Charlie in the grocery store, never with his family, never. Um,
So
I wouldn't be surprised if the entire family structure was a fabrication.
it's so strange.
And
She really does have that tie to Fort Wahucha too. Like all that stuff Candace was talking about is real.
Yeah,
That's been
yeah.
proven by that movie she was in. And it's
Oh,
just
that deep state. What if we have a grid go down movie? That thing.
what the
And what a strange movie that was. And
You
her
know,
ties to Romanian child trafficking. There's one for your resume. And
Yeah, it's
winning
a
Miss Arizona. Well, you can't win Miss Arizona just because you're hot and they put you in a bikini. We're talking people who've trained their entire lives to win beauty pageants. And
yeah,
as I like to say, Arizona is not short of hot chicks,
no,
right?
that's actually kind of a tell too, actually.
Yeah, I
It's like
know.
that's you're in a
And so
pageant.
all of a sudden she just walks out there in a bikini and wins Miss Arizona with no training, right? I don't think so. I asked, what's the woman on Jessica Vaughn on Twitter, who's a beauty pageant queen? I said, can you possibly win a beauty pageant just walking out? That'd be like me handing you a guitar and saying, go play Jimi Hendrix. No, I think I'll have to practice to do that. So,
you know,
Yeah, it's weird.
talking about, in the past, Dave, when, you brought up about the whole family being a fabrication, part of my mind, I'd be always like, yeah, I mean, that's dark. But now in relation to what we've learned
dark
about
compared
Epstein,
to
I was about to say,
ritualistic cannibals?
well, I'm
I
going to
didn't say
say, and
this.
since the last 2 weeks, it almost seems quaint. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
the good
know.
old days of faking you had a family instead of eating baby shit out of their intestines. There are nice
Yeah,
ways you can say things, and there are perhaps I didn't butter that bread correctly, but like,
yeah, I
I don't
know.
know. I don't know how you handle this. Like I've been criticized multiple times for laughing and smiling, but I don't know what you're supposed to do.
I think that's a natural response.
I
Oh,
think so
that's
too.
that's well, the psychologists have studied that. Like when we were in the middle of the GFC in '09, the transcripts of the Federal Reserve meeting showed that they were joking. And people got
Oh,
real mad. People got real mad because they said there's no laughing matter. And I'm going, no, that's what you
that's a risk.
do. That's
But
what you do. That relieves tension. Um, Sometimes good ideas are presented
yeah,
under the cover of a joke. So if you got some harebrained idea, you throw it as kind of half joking. And I'm in faculty meetings occasionally where I'll make a suggestion and everyone will laugh. I go, no, I'm actually not joking now. I'm serious about that suggestion.
just the other week, I have on tons of special forces guys, Rangers, Delta. They all almost universally say the funniest shit you'll ever see. The laughing fits. It's not like in the heat of in a war. They're like, no, in a literal like the cracking of bullets going by. They're like, dude, you'll have guys making the funniest fucking things. Everyone around them they're turning purple laughing. I think it's completely realistic. It's a
It's what
natural
humans do. It's what humans do.
dissociation from the terror. Yeah, so it's
Well, since you mentioned Delta, I've got another document for you, which I think you'll find very interesting.
oh god.
And it has more questions for me than answers. But this is Epstein talking to his doctor. This is the doctor that he had close
Right?
to
The
him.
fart machine. I'm still laughing. How's farting
They're
going?
talking about somebody who died, Pedro.
It's dead.
Morales.
Pedro, what was his name? Pedro Morales.
Morales.
Yeah. But it goes up. He's sitting Shiva. We can mold some coconut cake. But then he's talking about Delta. For this is February 15th. You should have your guys look at this document. It's EFTA 016-16256. And they start talking about Delta Force. This is a doctor talking to
What the
Epstein.
fuck?
I got the right person. Delta Force. We'll send you something later. Call when you can. Epstein says, on plane. Have a few great options. Special Forces, Secret Service, old retired cops.
Delta is like the Olympic team.
So the book Fort Bragg Cartel talks about how twisted some of the Delta Force guys are. It's a disturbing book, which was I read about a week before Sean Ryan accused Dan Crenshaw of threatening him by saying, "My
With SEAL
boy's
Team
at
6.
6." Yeah, my boy's at 6. And if you didn't know about these Delta Force types, the SEALs, you would not recognize that as a threat to his life. But that would definitely be it. When you say my boy's at 6, that's like saying my assassins.
Yeah. No, it's 100% what it is.
Why do you think they're talking about Delta Force? Why is this guy Fish talking about Delta Force stuff? What can
It's
I do
because
for
you're
you?
getting
This is
somebody fucking killed or you want top tier security.
Right.
With one of those.
this is when the heat is turning up on Epstein too, right?
Yeah.
So I use this watermark of the Julie K. Brown releases, the 3-part releases, Miami Herald, where it kind of came out to the public again. Like, who is this guy? What's he doing? So 2 months later, he's talking to his doctor, who's his buddy, who they hang out with all the time, about Delta forces. Like, this is a matter of national security.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not kidding. People think like I'm joking. Like, whoa, we're paying trillions of dollars for like defense, and you're letting these guys are talking about Delta Force hits or whatever. I don't know what they're doing. Like, somebody from the Delta Force should check this out. I don't know.
I mean, literally the episode before this was with the guy from Delta. That's not going to help the accusations of me being a
Wow.
Fed. Here's my buddy Dale. Yeah. No, yeah, it's almost when you see those memes about like I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out like the Earth was flat. Like we're kind of approaching like the singularity of conspiracies. And it's all flying apart. And
Well,
earlier
it's matrix level, right? It's
yeah,
matrix.
and it might even be that I'm willing to entertain that it's neutral. I mean, what I was saying earlier is it seems like a positive force because who's benefiting the American people? Maybe it might maybe not even be that. It might be a neutral thing. Maybe it's just it's as the CD spins faster and faster and it just explodes. It just might be that the amount of 8 billion people, AI accelerating, everyone on phones. I mean, God knows what the meta effects are of the internet. I mean, we can see it, but your cells don't know that they make up you and like how complex you are. Who knows what like kind of like meta creature structure creation conscious or not, like who knows what's happening. Is this the cocoon breaking into the butterfly like where nothing holds dear.
So I have a
And
question that has to do with the how to get information on this, because if you go straight to the files, it's you and 3 million files, right? And you're not going to win that fight because it's 3 million files.
yeah,
So what you got to somehow do is find someplace where they're processing it. So you get so someone's sorting out the wheat from the chaff. What are those sources? There's guys like Ian Carroll and stuff who are trying to pull stuff together. And eventually there'll be documentaries in which they'll go through the emails and make the connections. Right now, is there a go-to source or sources for which the best information is being digested and pulled out and thrown at you?
Great question. For me, it's Twitter and the network of people who I follow so that it shows up on my feed.
Me
So I
too.
would go onto Twitter. They don't seem to be censoring anything. So I would go on and actually just look at my feed or some of these other people who are reposting stuff. I know Mario Nawful is reposting stuff. That looks very familiar to
Yeah, he
me.
covers a lot of territory.
He's okay.
Um,
He doesn't understand the connections. He doesn't understand the thing that's going to differentiate the researchers into the Epstein files is those with a proper frame of reference who can make the correlations between different documents and the people who are just reposting screenshots. So you
right,
want to find
exactly. The guy who sees that Doug must be Doug such and such.
precisely.
Exactly. So
There's real.
who
I
it,
would recommend.
so there's an Epstein files feed that looks okay. The Epstein files, that's been kind of useful. Any particular people that you know of where you
Yeah,
go,
one hundred
in the
percent.
morning I have to check this guy's feed. Want to
Power
name him?
power power mapping. Johnny Pinglash, I know his name, but let me see if I can find his thing. It's
Because I have my old feeds of the pedo hunters, but I'm not sure they're necessarily the best. I would think someone would be able to take the Epstein files and AI the damn thing into a totally rational story.
well, you mentioned like that's what Carol's Ian is trying to do with his thing Web. Have you seen Web? WEBB?
I have, but I couldn't make sense of what the hell it was. It seemed like it wasn't quite ready or something.
I think what he you can okay. The guy who you should follow is Power Mapping. He does a really good job, and he also will repost stuff. So some of these people won't repost things,
Could
but
you could you
yeah,
boot that up so we
I
can see it?
sure I
Yeah,
can.
that'd
Let
be
me just
great.
go here. I'll put it
Because
in
otherwise you're given a needle in the haystack problem. Just and
I would recommend him. There's a lot of smaller files that are doing stuff. Rudy Havenstein is another one I would put
oh,
up.
Rudy's my best buddy.
Yeah, he does a good job. There's Rudy's. I'm putting those in the chat. I recommend him. Um, Jake Shields is reporting. I mean, whatever you think about that guy, he's reposting a lot of stuff without seemingly, you know, editing stuff. But I'm trying to find the site. This guy's a smaller one. His name is Honeybomb with 2 Y's. It's a she, sorry. But these people, they're like doing the deep dives, and they have the proper frame of reference. So those are people that off the top of my head I recommend. I'm trying to do it too, but trying to think. Jurassic Carl's good. Dissident Media is doing a good job. I think they're good. Trying to find where there was a guy who posted all the files so you can download them yourself. I'm trying to find it right now. This guy's doing Big Dumb Buffoon is not a big dumb buffoon, but he's doing a good job.
I once called myself a cognitive dissident.
I mean, these are incredible stuff. These guys are just constantly lying. They're just lying like crazy all the time. Lutnick and Trump, it's just like the lies. Here it is.
Lutnick's been busted.
Yeah, he's really got busted.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, he's in deep trouble. He should resign. Here's
and not go to work on 9/11 too.
Yeah, really strange.
Yeah.
Strange how we avoided that. GitHub, Young Megaphone, Epstein files is where you can download all the files. But we're at the early stages, guys. It's only been 2 weeks.
I know.
It's hard.
I know.
But what I did is like for mine was like obviously all these big names I put Bannon into the code and just tried to download as much stuff as I downloaded everything on Saturday. It dropped Friday. I have copies of everything on an external hard drive. But also just keywords, keywords that come through, which really crazy, like
beef jerky,
the
right?
The cryogenic stuff is really crazy.
Do you think, by the way, the beef jerky is about sort of adrenochrome perpetuating your life? Do you think that's what the beef jerky is about?
It's kind of an occult doctrine of like cannibalism and eating body substances of the human body gives you power. So I think that's probably what they're thinking is like, this is give me power in life. That's my opinion. That's
why they certainly treat it like it has to be refrigerated. And I mean, they treat it as though it will lose efficacy. Or
religious sacrament. I mean, they treat it with a form of reverence.
Look at all those weird pictures of Abramovich with all like celebrities eating representations of human bodies.
By the way, they don't look like representations to me. There's something fishy about it. I look at them and I go, man, the chef who made that carcass really, and there's one with looks like a hole in the forehead. So I'm not 100% sure those are real. Yeah,
that's how these guys bring people along into their group, right? So this is what you're doing in public. This is like the stepping stone of how deep it gets, and I think that Epstein, what we're finding is he's at the darkest, highest level.
Jay-Z and Epstein connected up. They've connected Jay-Z and Epstein, and
a lot of parties. Like I wouldn't want to go to his house and eat, because if shrimp, beef jerky, cream cheese, grape soda are on the menu, like that's really weird. Like it's like almost a vampire's ball, like literally thing.
Right.
But
you would not want to find out what that casserole was just made of.
I think that putting code words in at this point is I think they deliberately made it sloppy. Like you can only get 10 responses for any like search term. Like that is so stupid. These guys are lawyers. Like Blanche went to Georgetown or whatever. This is they're deliberately controlling and narrowing the scope of people's capacity to look at stuff. The data, like that's the biggest thing of like data assessment is like the biggest thing in learning in computer science right now of these people with data files, and they have like something from 1970. Like it's so crazy, it's so stupid. It's a total
like
government
the VAERS
job.
Databases to the vaccine.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Right? The VAERS database is impossible to use.
Right. These and even for what they're doing for the Congress people, you have to come inside and then you can look at it, and then they're literally looks like they're keeping tabs on what the Congress people are looking at. I mean, you cannot write this stuff. It's off the charts, but it's so it's so slow. It's deliberately slow, but it's making this kind of resistance. It's having an opposite effect. People are like, well, why is this slow? Because if,
Streisand,
yeah,
Streisand.
it's precisely. It's like you are minimizing people. Why are you doing that? It must be really bad. Like I put a page up on my X file of a 100-page document, totally black. Like the whole 100 pages was
Redact, the
redacted.
ultimate redact.
Yeah, it's like,
The
well, this must
ultimate
be freaking
redact.
incredible. Like, I don't know if it's porn. There's a lot of porn in there too.
Sure.
There's a lot of pictorial porn, but some of it's a real giveaway. Like
There's probably a ton of Diddy in there, right? There's probably there's no way I want to get sucked into searching the files though, because it really is.
It's grueling. It's very grueling.
It's grueling, and it's a huge amount of time, and there's just got to be a better way. There's just got to be a better way.
I think
agreed.
I think that there's a decent army of autistic people going through it.
That's right. That's
they're
exactly
all on
right.
my feed, guys.
On yeah, exactly.
X. I'd say look at my feed on X because
I'd say give it a couple more weeks. It's piranhas eating a Tyrannosaurus. They'll get it. It's going to take a minute, but they'll get it.
That's how they get their dopamine rush.
Oh yeah, no. We have this is our own immune system.
I get emails from a guy who's still tracking JFK. I get emails weekly from a guy who's still tracking JFK. And that I sit there and I go, look, you got to let it go now, right? It just, you really have to ask, what is the end goal if you're going to track JFK for 60 years?
At a certain point, it's personal interest.
Well, except for the octopus murders, I think it was the octopus murders where some guy was tracking down what happened to his brother who got killed, and he ran into two other people who had gotten on the same leads as his brother, and one of them had quit looking, and he said, why did you stop? And she said, you just had to stop. I just had to stop myself.
And so Casolaro?
Danny Casolaro, yeah. And she said, I just had to stop. I mean, it's like kicking the habit or something. And I think you can spend the rest of your life going down these rabbit holes.
Was it Frank Wisner's son, the CIA doc that was killed by the CIA? Then he finally allegedly got some sort of half confession from the CIA like 40 years later, and the guy that allegedly told him was like, "Do you feel better? Is this everything you ever wanted?" And he goes like, "No. One, it's depressing, but two, I just wasted my life." I don't know. Frank Wisner.
Okay.
Yeah, Wisner was one of the big swinging.
He was the one tossed out of the hotel room in New York.
His son he said it was wormwood to him, so it was all bitterness. His whole ride of his life was just a bunch of bitterness.
Did it make it better? And he's like, no. So
that's exactly right. It eats you alive. And I don't want to get to that point.
You don't have to, because this is Kennedy, but it's if Kennedy happened 2 weeks ago. There are a lot of people that are like, they're interested. They also want they want to crack the code. This is like worst case scenario for the people that did this. It's not Kennedy. It's 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. The time scales have shortened up, haven't they?
They are. Yeah, it is an IPO of autism. Like they are like, who's gonna win?
That's a great way to say this.
Yeah, this is more like watching March Madness.
Guys, imagine what's in the other 3 million files. Dude, what's in the stuff that Blanche said he took out? Torture, death, and CSAM.
So I was trying to think about that. Like, what would be worse? Because everything I see that already, I'm like, this is darker than, and I'm a conspiracy guy. The best I can conclude is, number one, it's darker and it's just beyond my imagination. Number two is it's darker in the sense that it'll be a numbers thing. It'll be real evidence of COVID. It'll be real evidence of 9/11. It'll be something where it's not as bombastic as they're eating babies, but it will be something where it's like, this led to the death of 3 million Iraqi civilians. That's the best I conclude, is it's either darker beyond comprehension or it's dark in a different metric, and the metric being numbers at all.
The darkness for me at some level is the breadth. I had no idea the breadth of the story. So I expected it to be pretty Epstein focused, and it's by no means Epstein focused. There are just so many players involved. There are just so many people involved. You could actually take all the Epstein shit out, and you'd still find a ton of stuff.
Right. Yeah. They're going to call it. It'll be in about a week or two or a month. they'll stop calling it the Epstein files and they'll call it the Epstein network because you're
Yeah.
absolutely right,
It's
Dave.
yeah. Yeah, he's the thread that everyone found. He's the thread. Everyone's calling it the Epstein thing, and we're realizing it's one thread in a huge fucking blanket. He's just
Okay,
the
I'm
name
not
we
going to
called on.
name a name, but my Twitter feed, something just popped up in which the guy I know in the Epstein files, his wife just popped up in my Twitter feed as having met Epstein in '92. I'm sitting there going, "Oh, it's getting close to home." I
Oh
told my class, I
God.
keep telling my class, I walk into class every day and I go, "I'm still not in the Epstein files. They haven't found me yet." Um, I put that in my Twitter feed, not in the Epstein files, in my
Yeah,
bio.
technically, I think my podcast started a couple months after he died, so I should be good.
Yes, but this one's a little disturbing because it is the wife of the guy who I know and I communicate with fairly regularly.
You
And
know,
I've never asked him for details about things that I know he knows because I just decided I would not cross that bridge. But
you
it's pretty
know,
clear now. I
he's pure evil, but on some abstract level, man, that dude was talented.
oh man, this chick just mentioned pizza. My friend's
Uh,
wife just mentioned pizza.
oh
Oh
God,
boy.
rest in peace,
This, by
Dave.
the way, I think I got off of your feed, William.
I've been
off
posting like
off off
crazy.
Yeah,
off
you have.
off screen I will tell you the name of my friend and his wife. I won't tell it on screen.
I've
Uh,
had my stuff ripped off by law. I understand how the journalism game works because I've
yeah,
had my stuff. I can tell you the cool thing about X is that it's your posts are timed, so you can
yeah,
tell if somebody posted it before you.
yeah.
And some of these bigger sites, they clearly have squads or teams that are following and then funneling it
I've
up into their site.
I
So
try
they're
Well,
to
the
read.
good
making all the
news
money.
is it's still getting to the
Yeah.
end result that you supposedly at least want, and that
Well,
is
Sure.
that you
of
want you
course.
want it to become public, and you have to get some satisfaction knowing. I like it.
Yeah.
I got totally ripped off by Illuminati bot the other day where they
Oh,
they
wow.
they said something that was clearly mine, not theirs. I'm going, but that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
fine
it's
with it.
something where it's like maybe it's bad. I can say I try to retweet every time I see your stuff. Will I retweet it? I realized the other day I retweeted someone and it wasn't you. They had like your profile picture and it was your work. Somebody was like three
Oh, you
subs.
got.
And I was like, you cocksucker! The account was made 4 days ago. And I was like, motherfucker. But
Oh yeah,
I guess it's flattery. I mean,
Well, it still gives you press too, because the
yeah, yeah.
people who see it
it's
are
true.
still going to give Will credit, even though it's the wrong Twitter feed.
Well, for
I've
everybody
got
listening to this, yeah, go into the
well,
description, please, and follow. It's William Ramsey Investigates, and it's the top link in the description. Please
guys. The
follow
other
him.
thing is that it's a historical record. My feed is for the last 14 days reposting my stuff and other people's stuff. But
Yeah.
I got on some guy who I don't know his name, like but I was like a purveyor of cheese for clicks and money or whatever. And he put me in the same group as like Nick Bryant and Whitney Webb. And I was like, awesome, this is so great.
All
Like
I
right.
I'm
know
literally
All
in
right.
like some anti-squad with these
that's
like
good
legit
company.
journal. Like I don't
Yeah.
consider myself that legit, but
No,
to be
dude,
put
take
in with
the.
all these great, I was like,
Hey, man.
victory lap. This is so awesome.
This is again kind of why it's like I think it's like a force for good. Not that someone intentionally is trying to boost you, but I mean in terms of like the general like a rising tide lifts all ship, it seems to be like a good tide and good things are happening for that. That's my point. Like after
There's
I
9/11, it's
guess.
like
I
all the
guess
demons
I'm
gained.
still not. I would
Oh, I'm
say
skeptical as hell.
optimistic. I'm still not optimistic um, because too many people would have to be put away.
Yeah.
I when was can you William? I've asked Tommy this question, I think, but when was the last time someone of real wealth and power got put in prison?
I think my answer is Dennis
Epstein and Ghislaine.
Epstein and Ghislaine.
Well, but
Dennis
they were
I'm
just
Hasker.
trying to
they
think.
were in a whole. Ghislaine, by the way, is still a work in progress because Trump's talked about pardoning her. So I don't call that
That's
putting her in
so
prison,
crazy. I
right?
think
And
that there'll be
Epstein was
pitchforks
just there
and
in a
Yeah,
holding tank, and then they took him out of prison, in
which
my
tells me
opinion. But
back to
no.
which tells me it's a force that's beyond or adjacent to or different than Trump. I really do. I think it's something that's not. I think it's some shadowy. I said when you went to get the crucifix earlier, well, I was saying if a shadowy network exists of evil people that also a missile can launch an IC, it can launch a nuclear weapon, it can also launch a satellite internet. It's the tool can be used for different things. If a dark, nefarious shadow network can exist for blackmail, a shadow network can also technically be good. Why not? It's not out
Sure
of the,
can.
not saying it's what it is. I'm just saying the proof of concept is there. We know that dark societies exist. Why can a secret society not be good? It's just, I'm not saying it's what it is. It's not impossible though.
The grapevine works so well. Some of these people, it's not even formal. It's informal meetings of people at dinners and at bars. They're all talking about it. And it's being
Self-assembling oligarchy. A
Yeah,
self-assembling oligarchy was the phrase someone used it.
decentralized series of millions of nodes. Everybody
yeah,
wants to know. I can see my stats. They're crazy.
yeah.
I was a very small thing. I've had like 5 million
I
hits
think
in the last week. It's
I
like,
think the last
whoa.
I think the last two episodes I've done with Dave and with you, those have both blown all the other ones out of the fucking water. Just on like YouTube analytics, like head and shoulders above everything else I'm
I
doing.
haven't checked it in the last few days. I
Like my
should go check
kids,
it.
my kids know. I'm having conversation with my teen kids, like, whoa.
My kids
They're
know
saying
dad's a
things
whack job.
they know. They used to think I was crazy, but now they're like, hey man, I think you're starting to make sense.
No, man,
One
you're getting
time
a
my
lot of
wife
laughs.
was lamenting my darkness, and it was at Thanksgiving actually, and she's kind of lamenting it. And my son says, he said, Mom, what if dad is right?
Dun dun dun.
Now
It's
she's sending me shit. I'm going, oh my God.
it's only going to get worse, guys. There's worse things in there I haven't even disclosed. It's way worse.
I think getting better. No, it's what
Yeah,
the
there's
dad.
more information that's much
Yeah,
more.
yeah, no, no, I
We
don't
haven't
doubt
even
that.
talked about the Juarez stuff. Like, what's Jeffrey Epstein doing in Juarez?
What?
Why is he going to Juarez? He's rich. He is in Caribbean. He's in Manhattan. Why did he fly to Juarez in 2014?
One of
What
the things is very clear is that Epstein was not just, Epstein was doing big favors for people that you wouldn't have predicted. Like, for example, helping a guy in one of the big tech companies getting a severance package. And it appears to
getting
be just
people into
flat out just,
college,
yeah,
all
exactly.
kinds of little favors and
Exactly.
everything going on.
That's exactly right. He was obviously absolutely a professional in every respect at networking. So his
He's a
whole
Rain
job was
Man.
networking. He
That's
was
why
the
they're going to
Rain Man.
refer to it as the Epstein network.
No,
That's
yeah,
it's coming. It's not going to be the files.
yeah.
And I'll ask the question to the audience. What is Jeffrey Epstein doing in Juarez in 2014?
What do you think? Give me
Well,
a theory. Give me something.
have you ever heard of the femicides of Juarez?
No. But it
Okay.
sounds like I could piece together a narrative from what you just said. Go ahead.
For the last 30 years, this is a very poor border town. If you've ever been to El Paso, it's basically in the center of the desert. It gets super hot. It's all the maquiladoras and all of these young kids. And for the last 30 years, they have disappeared. There's been testimonies about grape soda, torture, dead bodies out in the desert, disappeared forever. Researchers have looked into it. And what they found is there was a commonality of a bunch of these young teen girls, 14, 15, 16, sounds Epstein-ish. They were all getting trained. They were hoping for better lives. Their parents hope for better lives. They're living in shanties and stuff. They all go to this computer lesson course, and they would take their picture and get information about them. And they found that a lot of those girls disappeared. So they were previewed. That's what some people are saying. And people would travel to Juarez. Not Jeffrey Epstein, but there are other people who would travel there because that's what they liked. So why is Jeffrey Epstein?
Nothing
Jeffrey
is.
Epstein's buddy Leon Black, who we know from these files, if the files are correct, he was into torture. There's victims who've made statements that he was into very rough things. It's part of the Apollo Finance Group that owns Shutterfly. Who does Shutterfly own? Life Touch. What does Life Touch do? takes pictures of every kid in every high school in the United States.
Oh,
Really? So I gotta figure Whitney Webb's email box is filling up right about now.
I'd say that's a fair assumption.
I've wondered. So I had a friend who's married to a Colombian woman, and their kid disappeared briefly in some public place. You know, typical thing where you lost track, and all of a sudden, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? And he showed up at some sort of help center, and they said, "We got your kid here." And the problem is, he said, where she comes from, when your kid disappears, it's over. It's done. They're gone. In places like Colombia, it's not just, you know, if your kid disappears in the United States, the odds are some mother found him and is helping him, right?
Yeah.
The probability is still very much in your favor that the kid just, you know, went stray on you. And in fact, I think there's an Epstein email talking about having no interest in going after American kids. And what I saw an interview of a trafficker from Europe, which you don't know if it's true, you know, voice muffled, can't see the face. But I listened carefully to see if he sounded authentic. You know, was I hearing bullshit or was I hearing? He sounded authentic, and he said, "We don't fuck around with kids in the U.S. It's not worth the effort." He said, "We can go to some godforsaken place. We can get kids by the dozens." And once you get them, they're gone. Like Ukraine, you got to, how many kids came out of Ukraine after 2022? Oh my God. They don't even have parents. They're all orphans now.
That's a good point.
They opened the borders under Biden. Like those kids, what's the deal? You know?
Yes, CNN will talk about 350,000 kids disappearing in the U.S. into, as we know, NGOs with rosters, with names, with holy shit. And they never once say, where'd the kids go? CNN won't even say, where the hell did the kids go? 350,000.
Yeah, they talk about how they just evaporated.
How can the people on CNN live with themselves sitting there going, I watched a guy get interviewed on one of these upper tier cable shows where I recognized just one of these half show, half infomercial kind of shows, right? And he was selling young blood. It was a startup. And it was obviously to be rejuvenating. And the guys interviewing were avoiding asking him where the hell did he get young blood from? What is that? What am I looking at?
This is the memorial for all the girls who've been murdered in Juarez. Each one of those nails represents a dead girl, and it's on the border from Juarez going into El Paso.
Is Juarez like Tijuana or something? Is it got
probably
that same
worse?
Feel?
Yeah, yes.
Darker, more rough. Tijuana. I went to Tijuana once for dinner with a former grad student of mine who worked at Scripps, and it was clearly civilized at some level where you didn't feel like you were going to get killed at the time. I think now you might, but back then you wouldn't. And you couldn't walk down the street without the chicks grabbing your balls and stuff, right? It was just 100%, you know, sex trafficking, sex industry. You know, there were bars, there were restaurants. We ate at a restaurant. It took me to a couple of bars. You know, it's a stunning social experience to watch. But Juarez sounds much dirtier.
Look up the femicides. You guys actually have done a full show or episode in William Ramsey Investigates. You can check that out. But there's a couple books about it, and there's actually a really good piece of literature if you have a lot of free time. It's called 2666. It's by Roberto Bolaño, and it's a major lit flex. It's almost like War and Peace. How much? But he keyed into so many things before the Epstein files that it's eerie because it's this group of people from different nationalities. He got the zeitgeist of this kind of break of the high travel and the breakdown of national borders. Like it's just an incredible book, man. I just cannot even believe how good of a book it is.
I have trouble
not even in Spanish. It's translated to English.
I have trouble understanding what the big picture is, though. Tommy keeps asking that. You know, what's the goal? Is it
best
globalist?
case? It's a positive. Best case, it's a positive force. Worst case, an emergent phenomena that's neutral. The only if I had to choose a dark reasoning, it would be the what they say the fake alien invasion will be to destroy national borders and create a world government. Maybe a force comes in after this and goes, "See, all your politicians are satanic cannibals. We got to band together, make a news." And then in 100 years, we find out that they were also
Well,
satanic
there's
cannibals.
clearly a move afoot globally to break down borders.
Correct.
I mean, that's unambiguous.
Yeah.
Um, what the origin of releasing the Epstein files? What uh, what is the patient zero of that push? Who start was that Trump getting into office, people demanding it, so it kind of was a crowdsourced demand, or is there one person who gets credit for really getting that ball rolling? And I don't think it's Massey, but Massey is certainly a front man for what he's perceived to be a force of the movement. And I'm a fan of Massey, but again, I don't trust my ability to read the room correctly. I just don't know if I'm being duped.
My
Is,
under
is there
my
go?
understanding, and this is the way I think it played out. This is me, my opinion, is that these guys got into office saying we're going to get the quote Epstein list, right?
Right, absolutely.
So
Yep.
that's why people were that was a rallying for me. Okay, you're actually going to do it. You had these two outsiders, Patel and
Bongino.
Bongino, on all these podcasts and doing the bro podcasts and all that stuff. And part of their rallying cry was we're going to get the Epstein list. Then
Did
they
they
got into
believe it at the time, do you think? Do you think they believed it at the time?
I think that they knew something was going on with Epstein. I don't think they knew the totality. Then they
But
got
do you
into
think they believe? Do you think they believed that they were going to try to pry it open? Do you think they?
yes, at
So
that
they
time.
went in with sincere motive.
I think so. And I think
Okay.
Trump is telling him he's not. I think he's just constantly lying. It's a constant prevaricator. So he's like, yeah, yeah. So we can do that. Oh, we should look into that. So he's telling that to people, and like very influential. Joe Rogan probably got Trump into office. In my opinion, he got a lot of the mail votes in. So he's telling, I mean, this is my recollection, a bit hazy. It's been a year or two, but they got in. Then they started looking at the files. They're asking Bondi, if you remember, like a year ago, I've got them on my desk. We're looking through them. Then they had that lame kind of rollout in March of
Binders.
2025. The
Folders that you and I could put together more thoroughly than they did.
no question,
Right.
heavily redacted, files that are already seen,
This
already
thick.
available files.
This
Like I've been
thick.
right, totally retarded. Like all those people have to be compromised. They are to me at this point. So then people are even more mystified. Like you could probably scroll through my X feed all the way back last year. Like, what the hell is this? Like I knew right away because I'd already looked through the files that are readily available. So that happened. So then they're like, whoa, we're in trouble. And then in the more recent drops the 2 weeks ago, there is a file from that time that says we need to go through these files and retract anybody famous, any celebrity, any president, anything. And you can see that in there. It's in the, I can probably, I'll repost that on my X feed or I can bring it up. So they know right at that point the cover up's on. So they're covering it up. They're covering it up. And then the Democrats are like, hey, this is a political advantageous thing. What's in those files?
Yeah.
What is in the list? What is the list? Why are there so many files? So they collected all these files from all this stuff. And then they're like, okay, well, let's pass some legislation. Let's see what this is. And then that gets, slowed down. The Republicans don't want it. If you remember, I have to go back and look through my notes, but like all these senators said, no, we don't want to release it. It's going to be too catastrophic. So they knew what's in there. So these right wing guys are just total betraying their so-called external Christian values or whatever. It's not unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Anyway,
So I think Trump.
I'm not done. Massey crosses over the party lines with a couple other people and gets it done and passes that legislation, I think, in September or October of 2025. And then the ball starts rolling, and now they're really panicking. Oh my God, we got to do this. And then they release stuff. They release 500, I think 500,000 things like a month ago. And then the big drop was Friday. And they tried, they always tried to drop stuff on Friday afternoons because nobody will look at it supposedly. But I think the researchers or people have their finger on the pulse, like they're sensing something's really incredible is happening, and there's something incredible. So that's my take on how it rolled out. Is actually the ball started rolling down the hill from the Republican side, from
Yeah.
these people asking for it, and then they found out, holy smokes, this is really bad.
No,
And
I think yeah, we're promising it. We're going to use it to get into office. It's politically advantageous. Then they get into the office, and then they're like, okay, we can't do this. And now the left is like, this makes Trump look bad. So they're both doing it for their own like selfish, greedy, immediate things. And ironically, it's like for the first time ever, the two-party system is working together, but it's to fuck
And
themselves.
that's
So
why I
far.
wonder, though, if there wasn't some pre-planned duping involved there. The
Very,
idea
very well could be.
it's like there was a push at one point in time pushing feminists to believe that wetting yourself was a sign of independence, and women started posting pictures of their wet pants,
Oh
and you know,
yeah, it started on
and so
4chan.
yeah, right, and so there's I keep having this question: did someone dupe the Democrats into going at it? And someone duped the Republicans into going at it? And by the way, if I'm Putin, I got my best guys working on the problem at this point.
I hope he is.
Agreed.
I hope anyone's working
Right.
on it.
So but now you've got real firepower, right? We're not just talking Ian Carroll, who is either phenomenally impressive or part of a team that he doesn't fess up to. And
I,
he's almost too smart to be
well, and
solo, in my opinion.
as Will said earlier, it's turning into a four, no matter how it began, and it is important to find out how it began, but no matter how it began, it's a wildfire now. And they're not, I don't think any one group is controlling it for good or bad. I think it's broken containment.
Everybody's seeing a little piece of it because it's
Yeah.
not over. So I saw people who were famous crying in like restaurants. Like, why is she crying? Because her husband or somebody's in there. So you're seeing Bobby Slayton, you're seeing Jon Stewart, you're seeing these guys go to lunch. We didn't know all this stuff.
Wait a minute, Stewart got implicated in a
uh,
bad light in there?
well, he's going to the mansion, right? He's
Oh,
at mansion with Lewis Black and all these other characters, Bobby
Oh
Slayton.
my God. Because
Right. So everybody's seeing for
he's
their
kind of a
piece.
real hero of the left.
Like I
Stewart's
was looking at it
really
for
a
the
hero.
occult. Like I'm looking at the occult because that's kind of what I'm kind of interested because nobody's talking about it. He
yeah.
actually mentions the ninth circle in this, which is really crazy and a really heavy duty, like secret
That's some
society,
esoteric.
demonic
That's
secret.
not
Super esoteric.
lowbrow. That's not peasant stuff like me.
It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, have you heard of the Masons or the
The
Illuminati?
Illuminati? Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no, it's just something really
that's an
different.
acquired taste of conspiracy.
You, it's such an odd response in that exchange. I thought about it a lot because Epstein comes back. Bannon says, "Abandon all hope, ye enter here." Instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
coming back with like, "Hey, you're quoting Dante or the Infernal," he says, "Ninth Circle." Like,
Yeah, man. It's yeah.
so there's heavy. I mean, it's only going to get worse. Like, and people are using it for different parts,
Bless you.
exposing their favorite celebrity, ex-husbands. I mean,
Guys
Gates.
like Brennan showing up in there a lot. Brennan, guys like that.
I don't know, but there's so much about COVID involved in this. Metabiota, Wolf, and a lot of people haven't done the forensic like accounting and the financial investigation because Epstein is shoving money around all the time in finance and his funds and stuff like that, and his friends, what they're funding and doing. Like that's a whole nother aspect of some other anointed, autistic person to like, where's his money going and what's he doing? Somebody found that he was like supporting kind of like abortion clinics and stuff like that so that they would abort white babies. Like this is the kind of stuff that he's facilitating. He's facilitated this guy Trivers, who I think I talked to Tommy about. Like he's like they're going to do cloning and change the human species. Like this
Oh
is
yeah.
heavy duty stuff.
Now, Brett
guys.
Weinstein and his wife took on the Trivers story. Now, I read Trivers's email where he's talking about various sort of very biological topics. And I concurred with Brett's analysis that Trivers, although he used some vulgar language that I'm fine with, I wouldn't be on podcast with Tommy if I wasn't fine with it. but it did sound like a biologist just analyzing a situation, not a guy endorsing. And Brett and Heather, his wife, knew Trivers from grad school. And they just flat out said, everything we know about Trivers says this is just Trivers sort of being on the spectrum, analyzing a situation. Former Rutgers professor. And so they defended, this one right here. This one, that bottom one, I think, was the
right.
one.
But here he is. He's talking about producing novel phenotypes. So I don't
But
know how that's benign.
well, no, but I think he's actually analyzing a question. See, the problem is
We
I
are
will talk.
increasing, this is what it says. We are increasingly capable of producing novel phenotypes, more feminine men by blocking testosterone at the same time increasing estrogen production. This is
No,
not good.
but I could say that too. See,
Okay.
I could say that too because that is what we're doing. That is what the gender stuff is. That is what the vaccine for all we know did. If you really look at that email, it you can interpret it either as a guy who's promoting that or a guy who's just explaining what's happening in society right now. So we do have to be careful not to convict people based on proximity.
I agree with you. You're right. But he's still saying odd stuff that I
And
wouldn't
he
even
also
want to think
talks about
about.
his cock and things like that. So
Right.
he's talking to Epstein in a familiar language.
Yeah.
If you
But
like
but
that,
Epstein was a huge player at Harvard, and so they're going to pull out the big guns and throw him at Epstein because he was bringing in money and stuff. So the Harvard, I think the MIT Media Lab may actually be more indictable in their behavior than Harvard. I'm not positive.
it's just the speculation. I mean, the fact that there's another one, forgot the guy's name, but he's talking about, changing the human species. So when you put it all together in the Epstein nexus or network, it's just very unsavory and not.
And it also
Not good.
depends on if when it was written, was it post conviction of pedophilia and trafficking? And
Well,
and
that's a
and if
good
they
question.
and if it's post conviction, then they were he
2018.
was yeah, that's post, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
so he should have known that Epstein was an unsavory character. So that's more indicting. Um,
And Trivers is tied up with Gordon Getty too, which is a very unnerving.
you
And
mean
if
a
you know the
Getty
history,
family? Is that
yeah,
Getty family?
correct. And if you read about them, it's like you talk about John Paul Getty Jr., who like literally, I mean, you talk about satanic on the satanic theme. He gave, he used to go sleep in a casket, so he would do like rebirth rituals and stuff. And he gave Kenneth Anger carte blanche pass to just fly whenever he want on his ticket. He was basically a financier of one of the biggest Crowley. He has to be known as a warlock, biggest Crowley warlocks of all time. So these rich people have their little occult pets,
Yeah.
and they're usually around in one way or another. Damien Eccles was one. I'm waiting for that to show up with Epstein, if Epstein wasn't the one himself. But nobody's going to look for that. But yeah.
So are these algorithms that people can use to dig, are they smart enough to read screen grabs and stuff? So they got to be. It's a dumb question, but it seems to me at some point there's archives. This is an archive, right? This is an archive. There was a Medici archive. There was a Spanish Inquisition archive. And when they finally digitized everything, it may I mean, that looks real good. But at least it's 2004. When you finally get it digitized right, then you have the best searching algorithms and you can actually make sense of it. Are people making progress towards, you said something about, Ian Carroll and the thing called web, but I fiddled and diddled and it looked like it wasn't ready yet to me.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know.
someone's got to come up with a way to really search these 3 million documents and really, really do it correctly.
Yeah, they are. And the last 500,000 and whatever's going to come out in other releases, because I think the government was supposed to release them all. Like they're slow rolling it or something. So
You think the less redacted ones? There's two layers of redactions. The ones that showed up at the DOJ already redacted, and then further redaction. Right? I think the chance of us getting the lightly redacted ones is not bad. I think getting fully unredacted may be a much harder thing to achieve.
yeah, I don't
Because those are
know.
the same guys who shut down the Finders cult and all that shit, right? They're the guys who just don't let shit out.
Yeah, but that was all before the internet. It's a lot easier to clamp
Well,
down on
I, I
Florida.
Good
I am
point.
aware
Good
that the
point.
internet is a way to communicate, I'm
Yeah,
told.
no, but I mean,
Um,
in terms of lightning fast, you can't just shoot someone in the face. It's out, and it's like, Will, you said the next day you downloaded a copy. Like that would have, that's not even in the realm of possibility back when the finders was. You could kill everyone, and if it got out, you could kill everyone's friends. This is
you can't kill the internet, right?
in a nanosecond, it goes to an entire continent.
So
It's
I did a poll yesterday talking about this inferno question, and I basically said, is this turning into a raging inferno or is it a controlled burn? And I'm still vague on that point. Are they trying to like tap the brakes because they're on black ice and they're trying to, and are they succeeding? And William, you think they're flat out not succeeding? You think this is just, you think this is a Maui fire at this point, and it's just left the power lines and it's working its way down towards Lahaina.
It's only going to get worse. It's going to expand because
It has
people.
to for a while at
It's
least.
going
That's
to
for
burn. I
sure.
don't know when the burn will stop, but people
When there's
they're
no
starting
fuel
to
left.
comprehend the enormity of it. And they've slow rolled it. The whole search engine function at justice.com, like I said earlier, is something from the 80s. Like they have the technology so you could make. They're only giving you 10 responses at a time. So people are just by the structure of the way they put it out with the redactions and everything and the lameness, like what, and the way that they even bring it up, like you could literally just bring up the documents so you could see them all. It's they did it like intentionally, so that's why it's taking place slowly, but now people are starting to put these things together, and it's only once the public figures out these people were incubating kids and stuff like that, and they're raping 9-year-olds and prepubescent, it's over. Like
I want to see guys like Mark Levin and Ted Cruz get caught. I have a personal vendetta against those two bastards.
have you looked at their names through government through
I
the
have
Justice?
not. I have not. By the way, I did a poll the other day, and Howard Lutnick's the winner for a nickname is Nutlick, just for the record.
No, like that's good.
There's a lot of nicknames: Buttlick, Slutlick, Rut Chick. You know, there's a rhyming dictionary comes to middle school. Must have been a bitch. That's all I can say. The poll I did on the controlled burn versus raging inferno, the crowd's opinion, which is why I like these polls, is about a 50-50. People are torn as to whether this is a controlled burn that will be controlled or whether it's going to rage. And you've convinced me, William, that it's going to get out of control.
It's not it like I said, it's pervading everybody, every sociological group. My kids are, they're talking about it. They're looking at it. It's everybody's trying to figure out. They're all talking about it. Like I said, the grapevine is probably more powerful than the internet because people will sit down and they want everybody. If you go out for a beer or dinner, you want to talk about something.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like, hey, these are credible files. These people are eating babies and trafficking
and
children.
it's not something where half the group, by just the law of averages, is going to be on the other side of the aisle where they don't want to talk about how dumb their politician. This is like, hey man, they're eating babies. Everyone's like, yeah, what the fuck? Like it's not. Did you hear
Could you
AOS?
what
Yeah.
what would one of the betting sites like Calcium have had 5 years ago that
The
a
odds,
member of the U.S. Senate would be talking about satanic cannibalistic baby
man. If he had
eaters?
put a, maybe that's what all this is just an inside bet.
You
Somebody,
could make a fortune
this is how
betting
the
on
U.S.
that.
is paying off their debt.
Yeah, I know. We made a fortune
Quadrillion
on
of one,
Chelsea.
quadrillion of one.
I
Yeah, I
bet there's
don't.
some great. I bet there's some great betting
I'm
site
sure there
bets out
are.
there. Oh God, they must be going to
They're
town.
probably betting on like suicide.
Oh
You get
yeah,
listed in this shit.
so I was talking to Pomp one day in a podcast. And I said, well, you can rig the betting sites so that yeah, it's just not enough money. He said, okay, let me give you an example. He says, how much money has been spent betting on what the temperature will be in New York City tomorrow? I go, it can't be much. He said, $50 million. So these betting sites are hugely profitable. Now, here's one for you, totally off topic. My favorite trick. Um, Epstein, one of his LLCs, won a lottery, and the Zorro Ranch guys. And I'd read an article about another lottery that looked suspicious. And then it finally clicked one day. I go, these lottery ticket winners always seem to go broke. What if the entire bazillion-dollar lottery system is rigged and they're just laundering money? And Joe Sixpack, who has a 1 in 10 to the minus 16th chance of winning, figures out that they had no chance of winning.
I mean,
How
again,
mad are they going to be? How mad are they going to be?
I would hope not as mad as the fact that people are eating babies. Again, it's like rigging the lottery kind of seems a little vanilla.
You're spoiling my
Seems like
story.
mafia.
I know.
Spoiling my story.
The
I know.
mafia would do that. That's a lot of their books were rigged and their horse races were rigged. So why things are so corrupt now? Why wouldn't it all be rigged? There's so much money at stake. Why wouldn't it be rigged? I would assume that it's rigged.
If they're incubating babies and eating them in satanic rituals, it's like everything below that is now
Netanyahu
possible.
in the files?
Probably.
He must be all over him. He must be all over him.
Mm-hmm. There's 123 results for Ted Cruz.
Oh, I got to search Ted Cruz.
Dave's getting the last laugh.
Oh, I'm gonna find something on Ted Cruz. I'm gonna post it every day.
Netanyahu has 639 results. So, and there's supposedly a picture of him with Epstein.
That's not a big number for a guy who could be one of the most central figures in the whole damn thing, in theory.
What's really scary is how many people kept quiet about it for that long. Imagine knowing and keeping quiet, like keeping your mouth shut.
Totally, you're morally and ethically complicit.
100%.
There's no burning fucking hell.
Imagine what it's like if you were blackmailed and how you got into Jeff, Like, hey, I got my buddy Jeff. He's and you know what Jeff's up to. Hey, my buddy Jeff, he's really interested in you. He loves your work. You're a comedian, you're an actor. He can help you out. He's your buddy, and I know him, and he's helped me out and got my kid into college. Why don't you go hang out, You want to come to a party?
Get a little drunk.
Well, a story I told
Tommy, he likes your podcast, and then I wake up and it's a video of me with a toddler, and you're like, what?
Bro.
Well, so they can get you, as I've told you, a guy named Janda, who was undersecretary of something, as an orthopedic surgeon, was talking to an insider about a week into his job. And I got confirmation from a couple of generals that the guy's legit. And he said that he was told never go to a private party because you'll wake up in a fog with a Polaroid attached to you with you and a 5-year-old. So they don't even have to corrupt you. They simply have to drug you. They simply have to slip you a Mickey. You start feeling woozy. Someone says, "I'll take him in the bedroom, let him lie down." And next thing you know, they're videotaping. And then they've got you, right? You can say, "I didn't do it. I was drugged." No one's going to believe you.
Right? That's like that scene in Godfather 2, right? They did that to the senator with the prostitute. Next thing you know, man, he's dancing whatever tune.
Prostitutes don't even do it anymore. Right, that's the appalling
Or
thing,
gay.
Right?
Like, you used to be gay too. Like, if they catch you gay, it's like nobody cares anymore. That used to be like a
Lindsey
career
Graham's
ender.
Gay. There's a shock. It's like Gary Hart getting knocked out of the presidential race because he had a bimbo sitting on his lap. Right?
That's
who set him up to that? You know who set him
George
up to
Bush
that?
Sr.?
But I heard the guy who actually did the setup was Roger Stone.
Oh, yeah. That's not surprising either.
I'm shocked. Roger Stone is a bad guy. What a shock.
Wow. Yeah.
This is my shocked face.
See, they've all been lying about Trump the whole time. That's the whole thing. It's like, now we know Trump knows all this stuff. The administrations are the network. That's the whole thing.
The question is Trump bad, or is he just learning to play in the roughest of possible games?
He's in it. He knows Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn is the original blackmailer.
That's a problem.
There's pictures of him with Cohn. He said, "Where's my Roy Cohn?" Roy Cohn is the original blackmailer, blackmailing people at the UN with little boys and girls and stuff.
And then there's pictures of Reagan with Roy Cohn in his inner circle.
Cohn was a
badass
story. Oh yeah,
you have to have a red line of like what is allowable and what isn't. And I think I've said.
I would think Whitney Webb's books would be selling pretty well this week too.
Yeah, she's doing fine. She's doing great.
Well.
She's
good for her. Good for her.
I
heard
know
she had
good for her.
Like an old time researcher who helped her out. So I think
Oh,
that's
I think
Someone accused her of stealing their shit, but
yeah,
I don't
it's
buy it.
Ryan
I don't.
Dawson or whatever.
I think Will, I think
That's
your
a
stars in
complicated
I
story.
think your
Yeah, that's a
stars in the
complicated.
ascendant, Will. I think you're on your way up. I think.
You got to write some more books. You just don't have enough books, Will.
Well, that's six actually.
No, no,
Well,
I
I'll
think
tell you what I appreciate. While we were talking, I was checking them and putting them on my list. I appreciate the audiobooks.
Okay.
yeah. I've had them on for
I
most of them, yeah.
They're
yeah.
AI. Those are all
Yeah.
AI.
Oh, is that right? So what's it
I
take
just
to
clicked
take
them.
a book? You just click a button and it
I hit
basically
the button
creates
with
it.
my mouse, and that was it. They create an
You
AI.
have
That's
to
how
do that.
simple it
Now, I
was.
just finished a book by appallingly Andrew Ross Sorkin, and I did not detect that it was AI. But then at one point, the AI twice referred to a famous book from the 19th century by a guy named McKay that everyone who's in finance knows, and he pronounced it McCad. And I'm thinking, Andrew could not have made that mistake.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm not even listening to the real guy. I
I'm
don't
reading
think he wrote it either. I don't think he wrote it either.
I'm listening to a book right now, and I'm fucking 10 hours in about, I don't know, grand strategy of the US. And they're, as of this morning, I read they're not even remotely close to pronouncing Tiananmen Square correctly. And I was like, motherfucker. The fucking
Well,
best.
I've read into audiobooks where in the middle of the book it's clear that they forgot to edit a part.
Oh yeah, have you ever heard him
And so
reread
all
a
of a sudden the guy
sentence?
goes, he says it, then he goes, nope, and then he says it again, he goes, nope, and
I've
right
heard a
for
couple of
like
those where they're
10
like,
straight minutes where it's the raw cut.
oh no, I've seen that. And if I have on the author, I'll send it to him. Like, hey, by the way, you're getting fucked. Like you didn't get what you paid for. Like, shit, and the guy that rereads it or just coughs or something. Yeah, absolutely. Sloppy work. Much like the
I had a
Epstein
book
files.
rejected from Amazon.
Huh.
You're going to like this. It's actually topical. So my year in reviews, the 17 volumes are being bound by Bob Moriarty on his dime, his effort. I have to prove. I had to read 3,500 pages of my own writing this summer. That was a pain in the ass. But we're almost done, and I upload 20. Was it 19 when Epstein got killed?
Yeah,
When did
it was
Epstein supposedly die?
August 10th,
That's where
2019.
you and I are going to disagree. I think they got him out. But the title of the year in review is Epstein didn't kill himself because it was so topical, right? They rejected. They didn't tell me why, but my suspicion was is that the title did not reflect the basic content of the book. It's an annual review of everything, and I think some AI program picked up on the fact the title was not appropriate for the content. That's what we're guessing. They threaten you with this, we'll kick you right off Amazon if you don't fix it, and they don't tell you what to fix. It's a very strange problem. But we're going to change the title and shit like that. But they should all be available. And if I'm paid by the hour for the effort, I'm guessing I made about 0.001 cent per hour from these volumes.
It ain't nothing. It
Well,
ain't
it's not.
nothing.
I don't do it for the money. Actually, Moriarty's convinced the anthology collectively is absolutely important to be archived. So I'll take
Oh
it.
yeah. Um, we've been going for almost 3 hours.
Is that right?
Yeah, I just look. I thought we were at an hour and a half. We're at 2 hours and 42 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a
William,
lot.
I'm going to buy your books. I encourage other people to buy them.
You can
Really
go to my
should.
website if you want a signed copy. I'll send you a signed copy,
Yeah.
WilliamRamseyInvestigates.com.
Smiley
God, that
face
seems like
killers,
such a
say
pain in the ass. That's
smile,
generous.
smiley face killers, global satanic death cult. We've talked about OTO. Yeah, no, you got some fantastic books,
Yeah,
man.
I put them all on my list.
Get them, dude.
Yeah, I thought I was going to dedicate this year to going back to reading finance completely. Reading Jonathan Turley's book. Jonathan Turley is brilliant. Jonathan's really good. I hope he's not in Epstein's files. But he talks about this sort of the erosion of democracy into tyranny. It's how easy it is for democracy to migrate to tyranny.
I
It's
mean,
the standard thing. He's in there. Turley believes. I don't think he's in here in a bad light, but his name is in there. There's
Search
Helena
Collum.
Turley.
Search Collum. I'm not Collum. Search Collum while you got it.
COLUM.
I'll kill you myself.
Well, I'm
There's
pretty
a
sure
Ann McCollum.
Oh, the Mick. Yeah, that's a distant
Yeah.
relative,
Yeah.
apparently. um, Scottish descent. If I'm in there, then it's I'm telling you, someone's faking some shit because I'm pretty sure that I've had no 5 years olds at least since when I was in kindergarten.
Yeah, I was gonna wonder why as soon as you started that sentence, I was like, how are you gonna land that plane? But you did.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
know,
touche. All right, all right,
I
all
know.
right.
But the most
You threw
appalling
the
thing is I've done almost nothing that I'm ashamed of, and there's people who think I should be.
yeah, fuck them. Listen, the bar for shame has completely changed in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Well,
I haven't eaten a baby, all right? Give me
well,
some.
I know I haven't eaten a baby. Well, my bio says not in the Epstein files. I should change that to haven't eaten a baby.
There you
Um,
go. There you go. I think that yeah, that's gonna be that's the new positive identification for friendly or foe. Um, guys, let's wrap it. I genuinely appreciated that. It's dark. Most people that are listening have probably completely dissociated by now, but we've done so many episodes about
DID.
this.
The
They're on
term
the
Yeah.
is
floor
DID.
Oh
in
yeah,
DID.
catatonic,
yeah.
like their eyes are just staring at the ceiling.
They have six personalities. We've created six personalities on average in
Oh
one
God, it
podcast.
just shattered most of my listeners. Well, but yeah, no, I mean, in all seriousness, this is why I wanted to do this episode. You have to look at it, you have to go into it, and you can't give into astonishment and say it's all insane and say none of it's real. You also can't be, wacky about it. And you have to look at it for what it really is, and it's a very effective weapon of power projection. No different than an aircraft carrier, no different than a sniper rifle. It's a very effective weapon at power projection. And I think yeah, I stand by. I think it's a good force. I think Will, you're more on the it's a neutral force, and I think that I'm still out to lunch and not sure whether it's controlled or if it's a wild. I'm leaning towards wild. I'm leaning towards good force wildfire. Will, I think you're at neutral force wildfire. Dave, I don't. I think you're somewhere in between.
Well, I'll tell you, in a couple weeks, we're going to know because
Oh yeah,
it can't burn without getting bigger.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
they got to
we
put
might
it
know by
away.
tomorrow. We
They
might know
got
by
to put it
tomorrow's
away
show.
very quickly if they're going to put it away. This is not something you want to leave smoldering
No, no. This is yeah, no, yeah. Put out the
The
fires.
mass media isn't talking about it at all, is my
at
understanding.
all,
So,
at all. Best I can
just
tell.
never
Same thing.
happened. Nothing
It is
happens.
insane,
CNN, yeah,
Calais. It's
CNN.
insane.
I think all over
Um,
the Western world, actually,
in
which
fact,
is
there was
even
a
stranger.
headline the other day after the release. There was a headline that came from AP, but was on all the CBS, ABC, you name it, that said there's no evidence. The FBI claims there's no evidence that Epstein trafficked young women.
Yeah, man, it's
A headline from the major news source saying there's no evidence he trafficked women.
yeah, the Titanic's vertical, and they're telling you that it's not sinking. It's
Right.
not even like
The
It's true.
Titanic's on the bottom of the
Great.
ocean.
yeah, it is. People
And
are
they
going,
go,
oh, well, it
yeah,
was never there. It was always an iceberg. Yeah, no, it's yeah.
It's
Um,
yeah.
amazing discreditation of their any validity and integrity. It's
which
just
makes me think
incredible.
it
Well, the
seems like
guys
it.
who drive me nuts who think it's about they're going to lose revenue because I go, Epstein could personally pay for all the networks.
I
It's not about revenues. It's
which make
about keeping eyeballs because they got to keep the narrative.
which makes me think that another side effect is the media is being. It seems like it's a psyop, but from a side of people that are, for lack of a more focused term, for humanity. I just
I think
That's what it looks like.
it's for, and it's going to reorient the way people think. Like,
Mm.
who is this person? What's the motivate? If you follow he's clearly trafficking constantly, but how he's putting money in certain places, kind of like a mastermind. And imagine him like other people like him, other Billion Leon Black, and some of these other characters putting
I
money
bet
and
some people are
influence.
searching Soros too. Soros must be getting searched a few times.
Yeah, Georgie Schwartz. Actually,
Yeah.
Epstein's. I found out his real name is Yehud. It's Jeffrey's, not his on his birth certificate.
What is he? What is he?
Yehud is his
Yehud.
Yehud. That's my
A
understanding.
Oh, that
nice
sounds
Russian name.
suspicious. Sounds
Jewish.
suspiciously
It translates
ethnic.
to
Yeah.
Judah.
I will not hear y'all's anti-Semitism. That is clearly a Chinese name.
Well, on the positive side, here's a trivia point. Thomas Paine is not Paine. He added the E when he got to America.
Oh, interesting.
Uh,
Yeah, live and learn. That's a Snapple cap moment right there.
Truman didn't have a middle name. It was S. It's Harry S. Truman.
Interesting.
Straight
He
up
just had
Harry.
an S.
Yeah. Tess.
I
They
heard
just
J.K.
froze up.
Rowling, her middle initial isn't K. She added it K because it's the 11th.
Have you heard the rumor she
Oh.
stole Harry Potter from another author? Have you heard those rumors?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I actually have looked into her. She's part of the aristocracy, and I think that her whole backstory is fake. Like that's a
Yeah.
whole nother rabbit
I
hole.
think
You
I said,
just
we
you
got to
just
pit. We
blew
got,
up the entire universe of Harry Potter
Harry
fans.
Potter is way too sophisticated. It's really brilliant.
dude, if
It's
that gets tied.
presenting magic as kind of like an acceptable thing because Voldemort is the really demon one, and then
Yeah.
all these other people are muggles. But
But
I'm the good white
also,
magician. Yeah.
it's identity politics. You got the Slytherin, and you
Yeah.
got right. It's
Right, right,
identity politics. They raised a whole generation with the idea that you are a member of one of the teams.
right.
What a sick message.
It's a freaking brilliant book, man. And giving it to kids, like they
But
give it to the
supposedly
most
the
vulnerable.
original author, what it's based on, is the idea there was someone who wrote a book about Larry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
and and
Interesting.
and that she nailed it. But then there's the rumor that Led Zeppelin stole their thing from a guy named I can't remember, Spirit, I think it was, that Led Zeppelin, and
Oh
they analyzed the shit up. They said no, Led
no,
Zeppelin.
he. You have to remember, Page was very well ensconced in the music scene, so he had a lot of
You
bunch
mean,
of
you
people
mean
to
in
borrow
Laurel
from.
Canyon and Laurel Canyon?
No, Page. No, in England at the time, he was a bit player, so he had access to all these other kind of musical things, and he just so. I mean, they have had 10 lawsuits, some of which have settled, but he took little pieces here and there and made his own music out of it.
I guess everyone does that without knowing it. There's only so many note combinations in the
Right.
world, I guess. So
That's why all the
one
artists
of my
say,
favorite books, Whiter Shade of Pale, I didn't even know they stole from J.S. Bach until about 5 years ago. I didn't know that.
that's why people sing about themselves. The artists sing, "I'm a liar and a thief," because they're just lifting stuff from other people. That's
My
what
my
that's what Kurt
my
Cobain sings. You too.
My brain's
oh,
gonna
that's
explode. We need a pin it.
All right, guys.
okay. We're out of here.
Peace. Thank you,
Nice
guys. Nice
Gentlemen,
to
chat.
meet you,
guys,
Dave. Nice talking to you.
We'll do
thank
it
you.
again.
Yeah, thank
Yep.
you both so much for your time, guys. Please go in the description, follow both the Twitters. Please go grab Will's books. You can follow his podcast. Dave will start a podcast soon enough. He doesn't know when, but he will. And till next
Nope.
time, till
Nope.
next time, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. Take care, everybody. God bless. Stay
Good luck,
safe.
everybody.
Peace.
Yeah.
No
Yep.
babies.
No
Peace.
babies.
Yeah.